Everything else, thank you for coming in, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tommy.
So you're actually from the Dominican Republic.
That's right. Right.
When did you come over here?
I was born in Dominican Republic in 1990, and I was living in the U.S. in 1999.
So you came over when you were 9. Did you come right to Florida?
Right to Florida, yeah.
And then you went to school here, and then you go to college, right? And you originally went for a bachelor's in religion.
That's right, yeah, from University of Florida.
Congratulations. Gators guy.
The Gators.
Yeah, so in 2016 I graduated, and then almost a few months after that I went to go see Dr. Sebi in Honduras after graduating.
Now, at that time when you came over, and you're from Dominican Republic, you're coming over here, was it tough coming from the Dominican and then fitting in over here, getting into school, or did you really have to work harder than the normal person to get where you wanted to be?
It's interesting, and it definitely is a theme that plays, an active role even today. I love Florida. I love Miami, and I did take time to adjust. The tropical climate of Dominican Republic is very unique, and I think that Florida in the U.S. is the closest. So
I was looking years ago to move to the Dominican because my cousin, he went out to the Dominican, met a girl, got married. Dude, he got a house that here would probably be $500K, cost $30,000. Beautiful house. And I was really debating moving over there. I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful.
You ever see the houses over there?
Oh yeah,
$30,000. You can get $500,000 house, compared to here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what would be multiple millions of dollars here would be less than $1 million over there for sure. It depends on the right market and the place that you get it, no doubt.
And they've become more modernized now, right?
That's correct.
They're building all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So my father, he has his own engineering company in Dominican Republic. So I'm well versed in this topic for sure. There's a lot of development, a lot of European investment there. And it's a booming area, a booming country in a lot of ways. Tourism, wellness even as well, right? Being my industry, my field, and, my company's business and wellness, I know that there's a lot of movement, a lot of changes happening. And actually, this is not new to Dominican Republic. A lot of South American, Latin American countries are progressing in a lot of important ways. And particularly, I started to notice this in the health restaurants because in Miami, in the beginning, when I started my wellness journey, things weren't as easy as it is. And now you would be surprised. Top chefs with wellness restaurants, healthy food, and it's a worldwide phenomenon, I think, yeah.
And you know where else it's really big is Colombia. We had a guy in, and he was actually in Colombia. One of the only Zooms I ever did because I hate Zoom, but he was in Colombia. And off camera when we had talked, that they're all in Colombia, the wellness is a huge thing, or the natural remedies more so.
Right.
And rather than pills and all that other stuff, they're really more advanced than here as far as use in Colombia. And obviously, other countries, we're like behind in all this. Now, why do you think we're so behind with the natural remedies? You think it's big pharma blocking everything, or why now are we making this something, whereas other countries did this 10 years ago, 20 years ago, some 100 years ago?
Right. I think everything has cycles. So you see things come back and, get out of style. I think I'm being general here because I ultimately have a lot of opinions about this and how we view the world. Even with just saying that traditional medicine is chemical medicine, when actually traditional medicine is more than natural medicine. It's been more of a part of our history as society, as civilization, than what is happening now. There's a lot of things that have changed and a lot of interest, a lot of ways that we look into products and marketing and there's a lot to consider. It's overwhelming, right? With all these commercials, and they're talking a million miles an hour about the side effects of this, and then there's also side effects of natural stuff too. It's really fascinating when you look into botany, and then also the way that we are extracting compounds from plants regularly to create different types of products. And there's a lot to learn, and even my teachers, well advanced, they knew this. And what I am looking forward to doing now is being part of the new cycle, right? Going forward, a lot of people realizing, and this naturally happens in any market, right? There's things that trend up and then maybe shift for whatever reason, for convenience, or look at DVD players, right? We don't have that anymore. Cassette players, we don't have that anymore. There's always different demands that the market makes in all industries. And I think that now wellness is that thing where people are realizing that, we want to look younger, we want to look better, and we want to live a high quality life. And when it comes to a lot of things, we can do that with our lifestyle for sure.
So it's kind of like the cycle of evolution. It keeps evolving, and then it comes back around. It always does. Even if you would take it to like the Ice Age, we've had 2-3 Ice Ages. Nobody knows exactly, but you have one, boom, wax us out, boom, another one. Not like another one isn't going to come. You know what I mean? It's just it constantly evolves. Mm-hmm. So that's what you're saying with this, is that like right now is the new cycle of the healing and the health. The problem I think a lot of people have is when something like this gets popular, then all these companies that have no idea what they're doing, they jump on the bandwagon. Then you go into like Whole Foods and you have an aisle of BS that you have no idea what's what, no idea what's in it.
Right.
What do you pick?
Yeah,
this is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. I want to talk to you guys out there who are putting all the time into the gym but aren't getting the results you want. Your lack of commitment isn't an issue. You're lifting multiple times a week, alternating between arms, legs, chest, and back like you should, but aren't seeing gains. Before you think about a new supplement, diet, or routine, I want to talk to you about your testosterone. Low testosterone can cause you to lose muscle mass and can increase your body fat, basically cancel out your gains. And yes, low testosterone is more common the older you get, but it can affect men at any age. Plus, you also have a hormone called SHGB that is responsible for carrying your testosterone through your bloodstream. If your SHGB is low, you can have normal testosterone levels but still feel the effects of low T. So let's talk about today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked. They're a worldwide leader in at-home testing kits, and their male hormone test lets you easily test your hormone levels at home. You can order a testing kit that will be delivered to you in a discreet packaging with next-day delivery. Once your sample arrives in the laboratory, confidential results will be available from your secure account within 2 to 5 days. These results are reviewed by a clinician, and a member of Let's Get Checked nursing team may call you to review your results. Let's Get Checked laboratories are CLIA approved and CAP accredited, which is the highest level of accreditation. So, if you want to test your hormone levels without having to leave your home, visit trylgc.com/MSCS. Special offer for MSCS media viewers. Use promo code MSCS to get 30% off your test. The link is in the description below at the top. This podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet, Monster Energy. It's the ideal combo of the right ingredients in the right proportion to deliver a big bad buzz that only Monster can. Monster packs a powerful punch, has a smooth, easy drinking flavor. Athletes, musicians, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it. You will too. Monster Energy is more than just the green OG. Monster has Monster Ultra, Juice Monster, Monster Hydro, Rehab Monster, Dragon Tea, Monster Max, Muscle Monster, and many more. Buy on Amazon, buy on Walmart, or go to monsterenergy.com and believe me, you'll find a place. Unleash the beast. Monster Energy.
Famous reggae band that I love. It says, you destroy the blueprint so no one can see who is the original and who is the copy. And I think that this is actually what's happening now. Like there's all these wellness programs, you don't really know what people's interests are in it. You're right. There's huge corporations right now capitalizing on wellness. Is it a good thing? I mean, I love going to every city and seeing a Whole Foods, and I know exactly what I'm going to get. I think there are really positive sides to all these things. But ultimately, there's also a lot of fluff in everything, in every industry. And I think right now, what I want to be a part of is letting people know what I've learned throughout the years. And I mean, for listeners, right now tuning in, I want to thank them. And thank you for having me, by the way.
Sure. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Tommy Lockward, and I'm the CEO of Sunray Wellness Plant-Based Supplements. And I run detox programs, wellness programs around the world with, retreats and basically products that manage people's journey through the natural way of recovering, whether it's through skin issues or, any kind of chronic imbalances that we have. And a lot of people don't know that we can fix these with minerals. I'm a certified nutritionist from Hippocrates Institute. I'm not sure if you heard of it. It's here in West Palm. And they promote similar things to Dr. Sebi's methods, which is why I was attracted to them. And after Sebi passed, I felt like it was a proper thing for me to do, to keep expanding my knowledge with everything. And I've learned and studied the wellness industry, and there's so much to it. There's so many methods of natural healing. I mean, you have ancient schools from China, from India, all having their methods, all having their ways of doing things. What is so special about Sunray Wellness and Dr. Sebi is the alkaline knowledge that has come through that. And there's very peculiar things that Dr. Sebi put forward in his research. And, so that's me with Dr. Sebi, right, in 2016. Mm-hmm. And essentially, I was doing a liquid fast when I met him. And, he was alive and well, expanding his territory. I got to interview him, and I got to enjoy his presence. And he was a big part of what I do now. And all my products, I have the reverence to all my teachers. So he's the most famous one. And I know that a lot of people want to know about him and my connection with him. But prior to meeting Dr. Sebi, I had to work with an herbalist for about 5 years, working through my own health issues. And then
with your own health issue, because you go and get an associate's degree in film school, right. To be in film. Mm-hmm. Then you're working at a radio station as an assistant producer. What all goes into that? Like, what do you do as an assistant producer at a radio station?
Yeah, so I guess
it's curious how it builds up to where you're at. Like you're working at a radio station. Next thing you know, you're healing.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic. So I have degrees in technical things. So film production, I studied theology, religion, and the science of it, how it affects society. And I like that because I wanted to mix both together. But I've always been, an artist at heart, dealing with media and recording. So I've been a musician, since I was 15. And, we'll get to that part when we showcase some of the stuff that I've been working on. But I think that my mom was launching herself with her partner, and who always been in radio. And I graduated university with that degree of liberal arts science. And I wanted to help my mom, so I became her producer instead. And that's how I started working. So I didn't do anything related to spirituality. Rather in my own.
But now at this point, when you're at the radio station, are you thinking about healing, spirituality? Are you thinking anything like that at this point?
Well, at that point in time, I think that I was not realizing how valuable my experiences were. And that's how I started to see it, because as an associate producer of this radio station, I said, what the heck, I'm going to start my own wellness podcast. So
what was it that made you want to start that, though? What clicked it? You were like, right. I want to get into this wellness. That, like, what was it? Like, was something had to have happened? You had the rash, right? You had the skin irritation, your eyes. Was it that jump-started, that kicked it, that was like, I want to do this. This is going to be my thing. What was it that took you from film, musician, things like that, to I want to get into wellness all the way?
Right. I think to answer the question about the podcast, it was exposure. I think just being that, the fact that I could do it, it was easy, and it got me to meet the best people in my community in wellness. So I started to, not only after Dr. Sebi passed, being one of the top wellness practitioners in the world to me, I got to meet a bunch of people successful wellness entrepreneurs and, you know, yoga instructors, ayahuasca shamans, like all this started to go. And then from there, all their other paths in the wellness industry started to open up for me. So I started to see that I could start my own wellness business, that people that didn't have the experience that I had were starting companies with products, right? So that's a big thing. And people were asking me, Tommy, like, you met Dr. Sebi, like, how do you do this? How do you heal from chronic inflammation in my ankles? Like, how do you heal from, you know, a urinary tract infection? Like, tell me, Tommy, you met Dr. Sebi, etc. So I feel like people were just pushing me because I had other professional pursuits that I wanted to do. So I want to do documentary films, and I kind of wanted to go that route. I never thought that I would be an herbalist, but the thought of that now, it's like, whoa, I had all the things lined up to be an herbalist because I met the best. And Dr. Sebi wasn't the only one. You know, there were others who came even after that just looked at me and just said, yeah, you know, I want to teach you, and I like this, how you do this. And I became a student of life and nature. And I think that's you know, that's really the part of it. And a lot of things weren't in my control. Believe me, I graduated summa cum laude in University of Florida. It's a big deal. And being well versed in film production and other things, I was set to get jobs in the media industry, and you know, but doors were shutting down. Those doors shut, and it was sort of like this, you know, path of least resistance where I just like, all right, I'm going to do this. And that's how I met, you know, all of my closest friends right now by launching myself into what was in 2019 was my first plant medicine retreat. So people came from all over the world, Ecuador, Texas, came from Curacao.
Wow.
Tyler came from Palm Beach all the way to Miami, and you know, I had a group of people that were just, you know, really, really hungry for this.
And then when you see that, it has to click in your head like, wow, people came. I have something here.
Right.
And you love it. So
Yeah.
the getting into all this was kind of just natural. You know, you were going for film, the doors were closing, and then you just naturally merged into this, found your love. Then you have the retreat, people show up, and that just gives you the sign like,
Right.
okay, I have something here. On top of everybody asking you what they should do with their own company, right? Now, Dr. Sebi, you know, the guy doesn't get enough credit because the average person, you Google him, all you see is him and Nipsey Hussle. Now, why would anybody want to kill either of them? Let's just pretend that it's connected, right? We don't know. Let's just pretend. Let's say there's a connection. Why would somebody want to take out Nipsey Hussle about doing a documentary on Dr. Sebi? Big Pharma? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. You know, why would you take them both out? Why would there be some type of connection that may have led to that? The only thing I can think of would be Big Pharma.
We can only speculate so much. I think it's an important question. I bet a lot of people are asking this in their minds. And when they see this, you know, I'm sure people will react. When I was with Dr. Sebi, I was exposed to a lot of things. My relationship with him was very special because I first came as an attendee. Then I got a meeting with him, and then he kept inviting me back to his house. I interviewed him, so I got my camera equipment that I brought, and I said, Dr. Sebi, let me interview you in Spanish. And so in my YouTube channel, I do have a Spanish interview with him. It's not subtitled in English though, but I do have some clips that are subtitled. And after that, my relationship with him opened up, and I was then sitting with him and close people around him, and I saw a lot of things. To respect his life and legacy, I was bummed out, of course, because Dr. Sebi said to me, Tommy, I want to work with you. You know, I want to involve you in what we call the bilingual project. And Dr. Sebi wanted to do centers around different places. One of them he wanted to do in Florida. So I said, Dr. Sebi, I live in Miami, as you know, because we were the first time we sat down and talked, he was so excited to learn that I was from Miami. So he was like, "Oh, I lived in Miami. Like, you gotta do this." It's all recorded. You know, it's really exciting because he was all about it. So I think that really developed a friendship with me, and I saw a lot of things that didn't sit well with me towards the end of me. You know, because I spent time with him. You know, the last 6 months of his life. Like I got to see what was around right at the end almost, and there's a lot of things with this. I will say this. Dr. Sebi told me personally that he wanted to go to this island to buy a house, to invest in a property. And, you know, he flew, right? He was going to the airport and he was essentially detained because he was carrying a lot of cash. But with that kind of stuff, you should just get a penalty, whatever. Yeah. So, you know, money that you pay. But he was held captive and then he just passed away. So no, there's a lot of mystery to the way that this happened, and I have my own opinions, but I like to keep them reserved.
Sure.
Just to say that Nipsey Hussle, you know, was also involved. A lot of people in the Black community were affected by this man who did a lot of amazing things. He was incredible. So, you know, there's a lot of controversy with it, I'm sure. I don't know Nipsey Hussle that well. I wasn't a fan of his music too much to say that I knew who he was. A lot of people respect him as a wise individual. I don't know if he was involved with other types of things that would cause someone to hate him and, you know, shoot him, whatever happened, that tragic moment definitely left a mark in the world, and I think Dr. Sebi as well. You know, and there's a lot of healers, herbalists, and naturopaths that have mysterious, you know, exit strategies, I guess, from the planet. But I think that, you know, all we can do is grow up, all of us, and implement the things that he taught, and, you know, look at it as a contribution to humanity. I feel like a lot of people in the, you know, Black community, African community, you know, they view it a particular way. I feel like other people of different ethnicities, they feel like Dr. Sebi's methods may not apply to them just because, you know, he was so focused on, you know, the African biomineral balance and, you know, XYZ. But that's why meeting him was so important to me, because I made my own opinions of him and who he was. And he really loved all people. Dr. Sebi loved all people.
Yeah, that's probably why you're able to excel so well, because you have the ability to make your own opinion. No matter what somebody tells you, you make your own opinion. Just like you did with Sebi, like I'm sure you did with Tyler and anybody else, you know? And when you do that, then you can really get the most out of somebody if there's somebody like he was. I just hate how when you do research Dr. Sebi, he's a lot more than just the guy that, you know, Nipsey Hussle was going to do a documentary on.
There's a lot more.
And I'm sure Nipsey Hussle had his own problems with whatever he was doing. It's just, it could have been a coincidence, but just seems really odd that they both die around the same time. He decides to do a documentary on him because Nipsey got out of that rap game, and I think he started to get into the spiritual a lot personally. I think there was someone in his family, and he used one of the methods.
His mom.
Is that what it was? His mom?
Yeah.
And then he went on that, you know, going down like a wormhole, you know, where figure it all out, and who's at the top or the most famous? Sebi, you know?
Right. Yeah.
But my whole point of asking and kind of dwelling on that is just to bring light to him that there's a lot more than just Nipsey Hussle, you know?
For sure. I mean, everything has a reason to exist, and I think that his coincidence led to people investigating, and, you know,
which is a good thing in a way.
It's a good thing.
You know,
it's a good thing when people, you know, but it's, you know, stepping out of that arena, like I shared in the beginning, it's an inevitable force, unstoppable. You know, in Peru, there's vegan restaurants that are aimed at wellness being, or like a lifestyle being a way of medicine. I think that that's the future, and everybody knows it. and it's going to be unstoppable. And the more people embrace it, the more people open restaurants, the more people leave their 9 to 5s to to teach. It doesn't even have to be anything related to this. It could be anybody doing their passion. I feel like as a whole, we're going to keep changing as a human society, and the alkaline legacy that Dr. Sebi left is very powerful. And I know a lot of people don't understand it too well, which is why I've written books on this, so that way people can understand it the easiest.
Pull up his book, please. I think it's tab 2 or 3. Yep. Now, when I think of alkaline, right? Mm-hmm. And I would probably say 90% of people, when you hear alkaline, I think of alkaline water.
Right.
So what is alkaline? When I say alkaline to you, what do you think?
The first thing I think of is Alka-Seltzer. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, Alka-Seltzer, no. But it stuck in my head when they started coming out with the alkaline water.
Right.
It was like $5.99 a bottle, and who knows if it's actually alkaline water, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the reason why I mentioned Alka-Seltzer is because in Dominican Republic, this is a big thing. So, the word alka is in the whole product, and it's a tablet. You put it on water, it bubbles up, and it gets your body alkaline if you've eaten too much acidic stuff. And they use it as a relief strategy, right? Like a 911, break the glass in case of emergency type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's essentially baking soda, and it's not the best way to alkaline the body. And a lot of water companies, if water has ingredients, it's not alkaline water how it should be. So that would be my opinion on it.
So wait, are they actually putting like an Alka-Seltzer in the water and calling it alkaline?
The Alka-Seltzer product is a part of its active ingredient. It's baking soda. So a lot of the water bottle companies, if you look at their ingredients, some of them they say sodium bicarbonate, that's baking soda.
$4.99, just get a box of baking soda and put a little bit in. Anybody want to jump in the business?
The real alkaline water is water that's moving through rocks, and especially the thermal springs in South America, Central America, when water comes up with pressure and it's rubbing up against all the minerals going up, like if you take 2 rocks against each other, you could create electricity. So as the water is moving up through the rocks, it picks up electric current, so that's why when we drink water from rivers and streams, that are moving, we feel electrically charged. I mean, when I went to the waterfalls in Dominican Republic, just getting under the waterfall and letting the water hit my body, I left, that place, and there's no water hitting me. I could feel the electric current in my body, and that's part of what the water does. Real alkaline water.
Well, it makes sense because it's carrying the energy from going through the rocks and everything else to you, right?
Right.
When you drink it, does it taste different than
I think
a real clean like spring water, or not really?
I think that when people say like I drink water and I get bloated, it's a real thing. There's a lot of waters that their particles are just too big. I think that one of the ways that I identify alkaline water is that it's easy to drink. It's light and
smooth going down, right?
Smooth. Yeah, I think that a lot of purified waters, osmosis reverse. The way that they do these systems now, they have all these types of effects on the water. And there's a Japanese scientist that talks about water and how it can change and adapt. His name is Dr. Emoto from Japan. Japan is, to me, one of the most advanced countries in wellness, and they're ancient. They're also ancient in terms of the system that they use.
Yeah, they have time to back what they believe.
Yes,
you don't hear Japan with cancer rates of a gazillion.
No, a lot of those people know that it's good to consume a balanced diet, and we in the West, we're used to the 24 hours. You can get McDonald's, you can get anything 24 hours, sleep until you want to, you can work late. I think that there's a beautiful thing about in the DR, for example, everybody sleeps after food, everybody sleeps their nap time. I go, as a child, I remember going to my house to eat food. And, I ate breakfast at home before going to school. So part of the biggest differences here is that, you're eating, a lot of kids are eating in school. And, not to criticize the system, but there's just a lot of
I will. As processed as can be. They buy it in bulk, freeze it. There's
stuff.
more crap in that stuff that your kid's eating than you buy. So I'll say it.
I'll say it.
Tommy too over here will say it. It's
lot of salt.
trash.
A lot of salt.
Pack your kids' lunch. You'd be better off just going to the dollar store.
Yeah. So I have my own story on how I came across all this and led me to meet Dr. Sebi. And but yeah, I feel like the wisdom that Dr. Sebi shared also about Japan was great, because he knew that the Japanese wanted to buy Dr. Sebi's land. Because they wanted the thermal spring water. So
they did, huh?
yeah, I heard a lot of crazy stuff that was happening inside of his entourage and his plans. But God bless Dr. Sebi. May he rest in peace. And his legacy is still going strong. I think that what I want to share to everyone listening and, to the conversation as a contribution, the reason why I called my book Fasting with the Masters is because I've been able to encounter these masters and their life story. So Dr. Sebi had a crazy life story too. So apparently someone made an account on Goodreads. I didn't make this, so
that's good.
pretty
Though.
cool.
At least somebody found it, right? That's good. That's a good.
Someone was sharing.
Got a 5-star rating. There you go.
But yeah, if we go to the PowerPoint, I think I can show you a little bit
Pull
more.
up the PowerPoint.
I'd love to share my story with you guys and see what kind of things inspire.
Sure. All right. So take us through this here.
Yeah. So this is me with my products. Sunriver Wellness is the company that I run, and actually the symbol is inspired by my first teacher, Rastahuri. It has the ancient Egyptian bird, and it has all the elements of nature in there. So I just wanted to throw that in.
I think this is probably important to ask this now. What is I'm going to screw this up, Rastafarian tradition?
Rastafarian?
Close.
The
Not too
Rasta.
bad. That was better than usual.
That was really good.
Better than usual, right?
That was good.
Have you been practicing your...
Maybe I was. Maybe I was on your days off.
That was good.
So
what is this? Tell me what this tradition is.
The Rastafarian tradition is very, very awesome.
Because you got to remember, Tommy, people don't know anything about this.
Right.
You know it. Tyler knows it. But people watching, they don't know any of this stuff. So when we go through it, we want to make sure everybody understands. You know what I mean?
Right. So in Miami, Florida, I met this Rasta elder man, and from Jamaica. A lot of the Rastas, they stick to what's natural. So they embrace fruits, vegetables. They call their lifestyle ITAL living, so as clean as natural as possible. They embrace, some of them do. Rastahuri didn't smoke cannabis, but a lot of Rastafarians are known to embrace plant medicine, like the cannabis plant. But the interesting about it is that as a thesis in my university, I focused in on the Rastafarian tradition because my teacher was. And one of the things that I read, which was quite interesting for those that don't know, is that in Jamaica, they brought, after a certain time when, the blacks were getting a lot more freedom, they brought Indians from India to have them work there. The labor was cheap. And they brought with them, the Indians, from India, they brought cannabis and they brought the vegetarian lifestyle. And if you look at Indian culture, they have one of the most holiest of men are called the sadhus, which are essentially these men that sit and they have huge dreadlocks and they smoke cannabis all day covered in ash.
Wow.
And they call them the sadhus. They essentially have renounced the physical world, and they say they're the most holiest men or the most wise men in India. And I think that was interesting is that the Rasta started to grow their dreadlocks as a way of embracing, themselves rather than the colonial rules that were being imposed on the black people of Jamaica. And so that's in a nutshell what the Rastafarian tradition is. For me, Rastahuri was a roots man, so he was a very well-educated man by nature, right? So he learned from his grandmother, he learned from his teachers around how to heal people, how to fast. And so that was the man that really started it for me.
I've worked with a lot of people from India, and I would never think that they would be on cannabis, because they're the ones I've worked with, like on internet stuff and everything else, they're very strict with that. So it surprises me that they were into cannabis.
Well, cannabis comes from the East, right? It comes from that region. Yeah.
I'm just surprised hearing it. That's all. Just because I know a lot of them. That's all.
Yeah. Well, back in the days when we're talking about, 1800s, there's not much to do, and I'm sure all types of
mushrooms and whatever you could find laying around to eat that made you fight a tiger, right? Whatever it may be.
I mean, altered states, the conversations we can get into for sure. There's so much to it. But yeah, the Indian people, I feel, greatly influenced the Rastafari culture. And
that's interesting.
Yeah. And, there's Rastafari culture obviously became popular through reggae music and Bob Marley and, the freedom messages and, get up, stand up.
Yeah. Jamaica's an interesting place, especially during COVID. You know that the rate was super, super low because they would take in Jamaica, they were always using the aloe plant because of the sun.
Natural stuff. So natural aloe, not that you buy at the store, which you're well aware of. The aloe plant, the leaf, they would rub it on themselves all the time because of the sun. Well, little did people know that within that aloe plant, some of the chemicals that come off of the actual aloe was pretty much made you immune to COVID. That's why their rate was, Dr. Malone came out with a huge paper about it, that the aloe from the aloe leaf was what kept their COVID rate so low. Interesting, huh? Yeah.
Right from the plant. But they had been doing it generation after generation, including during this time period. So it was built up in their system, throughout the generations of doing that. And then having them had that chemical in them from the plant, when COVID hit, whatever the chemical is, it stopped it, And it's just amazing that something like that, which applies to what you do, lowest COVID rate that there was, other than, what was the other place? There was one other place that was really low. It was lower, but they were in the top 3 lowest. Fucking aloe plant.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that original aloe plant.
Yeah.
So Dr. Sebi was a big proponent of non-hybrid stuff. And I had a conversation with him about aloe, particularly because he says that you can use it on the outside better than the inside because it's an acidic plant. It does create, this acidic residue. That's why it's a bitter to the taste. But it's interesting because the aloe has gotten a lot of changes over the years. And, the aloe that once was, it's not the same now. And that's actually one of the biggest things that Dr. Sebi brought forward. But yeah, I didn't know that there was such a thing like that in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's interesting.
With the aloe plant specifically, no.
Do you know now I can't remember his name. I should have wrote it down. But he was on Rogan, and he was like a Dr. Sebi, and he was explaining how important the links in the soil are. That the soil is getting so thin some places that if it gets any thinner, like say 100 years, if one of those links in the soil breaks, that's it. Forget about nuclear bombs and everything else. If that link breaks, it destroys everything. Would you agree with that?
You mean he was saying, the link of what?
Well, he used link to simplify it. He was saying the soil in a lot of areas is getting very, very thin, where things aren't growing like they used to.
Right.
And once that part of the soil is too thin for it to grow, period, that link is now gone. And when that link's gone, then there's no way for the nutrients to travel in the soil to the other part of the soil that there's a space there, right? Now, if you think about that mathematically like you do in your courses and everything else, if you break that link, then the next animal can't eat, the next animal can't eat, the next thing can't grow, and over time, you destroy everything. And that's how important this guy, I wish I could remember his name because he's very smart, but he was explaining how important the soil is, that we're just neglecting and we're worried about green energy this, green that. Right. When the soil is how you live.
Yeah, there's a big thing with heirloom seeds, like
I read
original genetic material that hasn't been adulterated. That would be the word. I agree with you 100% with the soil, and it's really important. When I was consulting a woman in Ecuador, I encountered something interesting. I think you'd find it kind of cool. So, we're all debating about what's the best diet, whatever. But in Ecuador, they eat pretty much like everywhere. Meat, a lot of meat, rice, vegetables, juices, whatever. Maybe a little bit more natural than what we're used to here, but still pretty much the same. This woman, eating meat, eating all her things, still was deficient in iron. So she came to me saying that she was taking these synthetic iron pills that were making her constipated, which is true because you can't really take a raw mineral and just powder it and then think that we can digest that. That's not going to happen.
It's dangerous. You could kill yourself taking iron supplements easily.
Right. And it constipates. A lot of women have issues because of their menstrual cycles, right? So, and I started to think to myself, like, if this lady's eating meat, shouldn't she get all her iron, right? So shouldn't she be getting all of her stuff? And what I found is that supplements made out of plants are here to benefit everyone. Because when a plant, let's say the burdock plant that is active in iron, it still has 101 minerals apart from iron, because everything has 102 minerals and everything works well together. So when you take that burdock plant that has gotten the mineral, the soil that you were talking about, and extracts the iron from there and makes it part of itself, we are compatible to eat the plant to get the iron rather than go directly to the raw, like rock iron. And I think that when I started to do my work, I became more aware of this. And I realized just how important plant medicines are, plant supplements are, because it doesn't matter what anybody is doing, what anybody's eating, whether they choose to eat alkaline or not, whether they drink alkaline water or not. We do function on minerals. The body's made of iron, potassium, magnesium, silica. Like, these are real minerals. We're made out of that. And, we need calcium to strengthen our bones and, have good looking hair and, good looking nails. Like, these are things that people need on a regular basis. Now, is the food that we're getting as normal, right? Like the hot dogs, all these things that we're eating, what do they actually have? It turns out a lot of these things have an excess of hormones, excess of inflammation, really packed in a tasteful bite. That's all it is. And, whether you choose to do that or not, it doesn't matter. That's not really why I'm here. I help people with their supplementation of minerals, right? With the plants, no matter what people eat.
Minerals are so important. And I've studied it a lot too. And everybody talks vitamins. But the minerals are so important. You can take every vitamin you want in the world, but this is my opinion. They don't work. The minerals and the vitamins work together. So the first problem is you got to find a vitamin like at the store that's actually real. That the stuff that's in it is actually there. I don't know if you remember Walmart. They wiped out half of their. It was the Green Valley. They wiped the whole thing. Anybody else would have went to jail for 20 years because what was in it, you can Google it or whatever. What was in it was not what they said was in it. On the back it says these statements have not been approved. So you have no idea what you're getting. The FDA doesn't test it. So I guess they got enough complaints from the Better Business Bureau. Somebody went in and they tested it, and none of what they had down that aisle, it was the yellow and green bottle of vitamins.
Nature's Way or something.
Nature's Way.
Really?
None of them had anything in it. Like if it was vitamin D, there wasn't vitamin D in it.
Well, speaking about that, like normally vitamin D deficiency and iron, like they go hand in hand for a lot of people. And interesting thing about iron, which is why Dr. Sebi sat down and drilled it into my head.
When your eyes like you heard a lot about
iron.
Yeah,
he drilled it because he's like, when you have proper iron, the body can absorb everything else. Almost, it actually pulls minerals to it. So I think that that's a really important point. Now, vitamin D and, immunity is a big deal. And a lot of people don't know how to access vitamin D. And like I said, and a lot of people that have immune issues, it's usually iron and vitamin D. They're really like all there. So we help target a lot of things individually when I work people one-on-one in the coaching programs. And, we can assess that. And it's been really interesting to see a lot of the things that we've been getting. But obviously everything started with myself, it's all
now don't you
there.
need the vitamin K with the D for it to be absorbed right?
There's products out there that have both vitamin D and
but
K.
I mean, in your opinion, is that accurate that that the vitamin D is more absorbed better when taken with vitamin
in
K?
supplement form? Yeah.
In supplement form.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can get both separately. They don't have to be. I know certain products they offer vitamin D and K2.
Yeah, I don't trust it. I don't think they're combined.
That's the hard part, though. I think with everything is people don't know because almost there's so much information out there, which is a good thing, but you're like, well, iron and then this and then that and then if I eat this and then this and then that, and by the time you know it, you're like, holy fuck, what am I even doing?
That's why Tommy's here.
Yeah,
which one to get? That's the lead in.
Yeah, that's what happens. Normal.
Yeah, because
it's confused.
Really, I mean, you go down there, like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone into Whole Foods and I'll see a group of women there, and I'm not picking on women, but they're looking for something for their nails or their hair or whatever, and they'll sit there for an hour because there's 100 different options
in the supplement section.
Yeah, or gummy bears. They want the gummy bear ones.
It's funny because like you talk about all this, and I always talk about my dad. We bring my dad up every so often. My dad's 82 years old, older guy, but doesn't look 82. Has his whiskey every night, things like that. But we were talking about the water. He still to this day goes with a gallon jug every other Sunday. We lived in the mountains. So there's a natural spring that flows down, and the old timers know about it, and they go there and they fill up their water jugs. And as a kid, I used to drink it, and then as I got older, I'm like, Dad, that water's probably not good, like deer shit and whatever else is in there. He's like, no, that's the best water you get, running right off the mountain, running down and stuff like that. Yeah. Like little things you're talking about, and pick up. I'm like, maybe that's why.
Now, would that be alkaline water? What his dad was drinking because it was coming right off the rocks?
Yeah.
And what is it, 82?
82.
There's a place in Ecuador called Vilcabamba where these older people live like 100+ years. And Dr. Sebi was the one that told me about it. And he's like, one of the biggest things is that they drink a gallon of water a day out of this spring that they have there. So water is not something that
it shouldn't be taken lightly
for granted. Yeah, because we're made of mostly water. The body is 70% or more on average. As babies, we're actually
80, right?
Yeah, close to higher. And it's funny how some babies can actually breathe underwater if you have like underwater births and stuff. So there's a lot to nature and the way that it does things that I feel like human beings have disconnected from, and that's essentially the message of Dr. Sebi and your father. Thank you for sharing that, because that's the life. Like that was a life back then. I live in Miami in an apartment building, and like the water that we get to shower, it goes through millions of pipes.
If you would dry off with the water on you, you'd probably be white with all the chemicals in it. You know what I mean? You'd have like chalk dust all over you.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta do what we can. That's what I think. So that we do it in all the ways that we feel are important to us at first value, right? So like for me, what started to change was my health, and that was a signal for me to go a different route.
How crazy is this, Tommy? I never heard that. His dad's 82. Now, it could be genetics, a lot of it, hereditary. But, I'm sure that water coming off that mountain helped a little bit,
And he also says not going to the doctor helps him live longer. He doesn't believe in doctors.
Well, there you go. There you go, right?
He'll tell you straight up. My friend's dad is a real good friend of ours. He's a doctor in my hometown. He's like, He tells him all the time. He goes, "Why don't you come in and see me?" But he goes, "I don't believe in doctors."
That's probably why he's 82.
That's what he says to him.
F the doctors and alkaline water, and he doesn't even know it's alkaline water. But
Call my dad crazy, but I don't know, man.
he might not be so crazy. You know?
No, I don't think it's that crazy. You know,
These processed foods are so bad.
the thing about the word alkaline and what people don't understand that it actually means is anti-oxidizing.
That's why I'm hitting you on that, because
Yeah.
people don't get it.
What is the opposite
Not
of
that they don't get it.
anti?
It's just it's not out there to be known.
Right. So what is everybody knows antioxidants are good. Everybody knows this. What is the opposite of that? Oxidation.
Right.
When something is going to, in Spanish is actually a better way, because when we say that a metal is rusting, we actually say the word oxidation in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, like that metal.
Wow.
When we say something like, hey, that piece of metal is rusting, we say, ese metal está oxidándose. So we say that, we actually say the word oxidating when something is rusting. So it actually means decay. So antioxidants give us life, and oxidants, are actually taking away life, breaking down our physical body.
That is so interesting.
So the reason why alkaline water is so good is because it helps flush out, anything that you're eating. It helps neutralize acidity, and you can neutralize acidity. So there's a way to do this, and you can test it. I've done a lot of pH testing with soda, and you can actually, it works well with the clear sodas. You can actually pH test the liquid, and then when you add alkaline water to it, kind of dilute the color, and you'll see that it actually turns more alkaline. So in our bodies, constantly we have these chemical reactions happening all the time. So there's a way to test food for that too. So that's where Dr. Sebi's research came in. But yeah, what I wanted to say is that drinking alkaline water or natural water, spring water, doing certain things, stress actually is found to create acidity and oxidation in the body. A lot of things are caused by stress when people consider illnesses. And why? Because stress causes a chain reaction that ultimately leads to the pH of the blood, falling below alkaline or not. And we can feel it when someone's when you're angry. Come on, we've all been there. We're experiencing a whole new set of chemical reactions in our body. And a lot of times when people have accidents or experience trauma, we shake, and we lose the voluntary control a lot of times in our body when we go through certain shocks and traumas. So our body does go through a lot of process that we don't even know. And the body, to me, is a miracle. Both of us are having processes happen like without us even thinking about it. It's just happening. So what I find is that nature is very wise. So you have the things that nature gives you, and the body does change, because we're always changing no matter what. It's up to us to live the habits that are going to change us for the better. And so that's the policy that I resonate with, or the worldview that I resonate with. And that's what has gotten me out of a lot of situations in health, and a lot of my clients as well. Because, we were once babies, and we're not anymore. And we're going to grow, we're going to change. So we do these things daily, and we have a chance to experience life in a different way than most people think that they can. So, for example, my father, he laughed at me at all this in the beginning, and then he got diagnosed with diabetes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and then he started to drink alkaline water.
I wasn't laughing anymore so much.
Yeah, and the thing about the water and why I'm bringing it back is just a lot of people default on the diet. Like my dad defaults on that. So, but just that alone has made a difference in his life. My dad wakes up sometimes at 6 a.m. to go biking. And
Good for him.
he's in his late 50s.
Now, how does one go about finding the right water?
Yeah.
Because is Poland Spring, it's supposed to be spring water off a spring. Is that actually off a spring? Or
Right.
How does one find this good water that's actually
There's a lot
real?
of brands.
What do you recommend?
But also there's
Maybe you
there's
could send them an
filters.
email to pay you.
There's filters too that people can
Does
get.
that work?
Yeah, there's a lot of
The filters.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like I said, I think you would have to look into the Japanese scientist Dr. Moto, who was able to change molecularly water and scientifically prove it by a lot of different methods. So I do believe that water can be changed in a lot of ways. So I'm not, I'm not such a Nazi with that. And like, it has to be this water. Or like, Florida's great. I mean, I lived for a while when I was studying in a piece of land in Gainesville where the guy had a natural aquifer, coming down from his land. So, if you have that, great.
Well, you're in Miami, so where are you getting your water at? Because I know you're not getting it down in Miami.
No. I'm definitely buying.
So you got to give us a secret because I know it's not Miami, Tommy.
I buy spring water for sure, and then
What kind of
I also have a filter at the house.
What kind of spring water do you buy?
Are you want the brand?
Yeah. We want to know what the hell's
this
good
one
stuff.
right here, Eternal Spring. It's really good.
And I'll send them an
I
email
like
and tell
it.
you to start paying.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This broadcast
This
sponsored
is
by.
sponsored by.
I'll throw them your way.
Yeah, the it's not regular plastic. It's BPA free, which is really cool. Because when I was in school, you study that plastic has bisphenol A, which is it's this weird chemical that in amphibians it messes with them.
We can pull it up, Tommy. Do you know what? In 1 week, you inhale enough plastic where you can spit out a credit card.
I saw that.
What?
Yeah, go to Google quick.
They showed a thing where it was like they showed little like microscopic thing, but when it adds up, it's like chunks of plastic.
Yeah, type in water plastic from water bottles over a week period. You can spit out a credit card worth of plastic or somewhere. Really, it's unbelievable.
I think I now remember reading that somewhere.
Well, you think when they're shipping it, it melts. It gets hot, right? So maybe the bottle looks okay, but the chemical within the plastic, it excretes.
Well, if water can rust metal, it can react with plastic, and it's not going to be good for us. That's why when we see water that has been sitting outside in a random brand that is plastic, of course, and you drink it, it's like, oh, this tastes like plastic.
Have you ever had that where you got that bottle of water and you could taste it right from the rip, boom, right?
That's the same water that I was talking about that can bloat people.
Yeah,
it's that kind of water. It's like you don't want to.
Basically, you're drinking.
I prefer glass. Mm-hmm. So there's I forgot the name now. Mountain Valley Spring is another brand that I like. And
that picture on the right was the one I saw all the way to the right. The guy's
the guy's hand.
So they're talking about like the microplastics with everything from toothbrushes, from in the ocean. You don't even realize there's a lot of garbage, of course, in the ocean, but just microscopic things being flushed out, coming into your drinking water that you're not even seeing because it's very microscopic that you're you're basically drinking. And
Rob, type in inhale enough plastic to spit out a credit card, and then go to all. I just want Tommy to see this because it's just.
What is it? Inhale.
Type in inhale enough plastic to spit out credit card. It's crazy, but when you think about it, it's all over the place. Then go to all. See if it comes up. Right there. Click on that. Yep. Click on that one. Click. Oh, yuck. You're eating about a credit card's worth of plastic every week.
Every week?
Every week, yeah. Right. From the top of Mount Everest to the deepest oceans, we know the plastic trash is everywhere on the earth. Now we know it's in us, too. You're eating, swallowing, or breathing in about 2,000 tiny pieces of plastic each week. A study suggests an equal to the weight of a credit card.
Yep. through a lot of different ways.
And we saw that come up on a bunch of popular
crazy shit.
Right?
I saw that.
What do you think about that?
I'm not surprised. There's all sorts of contaminants we can get into. I'm aware of.
Here for a week, right?
Yeah, I'm aware of a lot of ways to. You've heard of chemtrails and different types of things, and we do see a lot of people talking about it on social media. And I think that there's a lot of contaminants for sure, and that's why we do our best to neutralize.
Do you think that the processed food is the reason for the spike in cancer?
Well, long time ago, there was a young girl that I knew working at McDonald's, 17 years old, 15 years old, excuse me, with breast cancer. I mean, like, is that normal?
No, it's not normal.
She was working at
hereditary.
I'm not saying that it's directly related to the fact that she worked at McDonald's, but people that work in places, they tend to eat there as well. So you can kind of understand the lifestyle that most people have. I do think that the hormones that are coming in from the foods is what grows things like cancer inside people's bodies. I do believe that. So, for example, like the hormones from meat, the dairy, they grow like an egg. If you get an egg, if you leave it alone, it's gonna grow into something. Yeah. It's hormones. So I do think that a lot of doctors, a lot of people have been speaking out on this. It's not something that is new. I do think that foods that have hormones are a big issue. And, for me, it's sad because a lot of young people are getting affected by these types of situations.
And Tommy, they're still on the milk. Milk does nothing. You cannot prove to me. You cannot chemically prove to me in any way, shape, or form that milk does anything.
Does the body good, no?
No. You know what it does do is it thickens your skin is what it does. That's about it.
I heard about
fucking
this
horrible for you.
Up on the screen, I heard about this the other day. Somebody was telling me about it. Couple was renovating their home. They tore the wall out. There was an old McDonald's, burger and fries. And I mean, yeah, they're 63-year-old fries, but they still look weirdly. Now, how much
preservatives are in there, Tom?
So that's scary, right?
Those fries are 63 years old, and you can still see the French fries.
So that's going into your body. Imagine that. I don't know where the burger's at.
Now, you want to talk about preservatives, buddy?
Yeah, the oils, I think, are the biggest things, too.
The oil you think that they're cooking in?
Yeah.
China uses gutter. They take like sewer water and they use that to cook with some of the oil from the sewer. No, they really do. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, it is China. I mean, fuck. All right. Last thing, then we'll get to your PowerPoint.
China.
Now, yeah, really, they do.
There's all these there's all these stories of the dogs around the Chinese.
It's real. It's real. Dude wanted to take a dump and you could see under the ground. He took a dump. There was a hole and it went down to where the pigs eat.
No.
Seriously. Now, how does one get in touch with a guy like Dr. Sebi? I mean, how do you even get? I mean, this isn't a guy it's easy to get in touch with, I would imagine, right?
No, he wasn't.
So how did you get in touch with him? And then we'll go through the PowerPoint and then a bunch of other stuff.
Well, I did really well in school. I got some grants and I took out some loans and, I paid a lot of money to go see Dr. Sebi, to be straightforward.
Good. I'm happy to hear it, that you're born in 1990, right? And you're a go-getter because there's about 10 of them left in the world. Nobody just goes for it anymore. They don't. That's all I need to do.
It was an
Saved
opportunity,
up your money.
You go actually, it was trippy. I knew I had to go see him, and
well,
6 months
it was
later,
your calling.
Yeah, 6 months later, he wasn't here anymore. So
you can't control the universe. The universe is the universe.
Only yourself. You can only control yourself to a certain extent, even.
And if the universe wants to step in, that's it, pal. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So
no doubt.
Let's hit your PowerPoint.
Yeah, I mean, if you go, see on the left, that's me all the way to the left with the glasses and holding a beer.
How long ago was that?
I think that was early 2010.
Wait. Dr. Sebi is not a beer. It's not a beer.
Before it was early 2010, just because I already been vegetarian and my skin. So I started having issues with my skin. I had seborrheic dermatitis, acne when I came to the U.S. and I started eating a lot of Oreos and milk and McDonald's and all this. I was desperate. Went to a lot of dermatologists, a lot of people, experts, and the only thing that worked was eating a lot of fruits, drinking a lot of water, exercising. So right there, the reason why I'm sharing that picture is because even at that point, I had a lot of skin issues still. And one of the things that I discovered that was horrible for skin is actually beer, just because it has two criminals that that really hurt the skin, which is yeast and alcohol. Alcohol is extremely, dehydrating for the body. So, I had a lot of dry eyes. I had other skin issues. And over there on the right, I took this picture like last year. And essentially it showcases my body transformation in a way. And it showcases that you can change and you just have to steer it.
Yeah, in the left, it looks like you're going to frat parties, and on the right, you look like you're on the front of a magazine, like Max or GQ magazine.
Yeah.
Right, GQ magazine, left, frat party with a beer.
Right. So this was in 2016 when I got to meet him. Again, I was already mentored by somebody for years, so meeting Dr. Sebi was great because he was fascinated by my stories with my other teacher, the knowledge of herbs and plant medicine. So there we are talking, and that was also on the right. It's the same day that I met him. That was the first day. And yeah, there we are, just, chatting about life, about, this man was 82 years old when I met him. And it was a library, a library of
smart
knowledge.
As a whip, right?
Yeah.
82.
Yeah. He could recall everything and describe it in detail, almost like you were there, just by hearing him speak. It was a powerful magnetic experience for sure. And a lot of people know about him, and I didn't know that it was going to be like that, right? Like I was there for myself and for my family. I remember asking him a lot of questions about my father, about iron, for me, direction in life, about what to do. And so this was January in 2016, and we were supposed to meet up in September for this meeting that he was going to do for his centers. And I was invited to go, but he passed in August of the same year. So it was a month before we were all supposed to do something, about healing centers. So there's a lot, obviously, that comes to my mind, but I can only just send them a lot of love and peace. That's why for a long time I wanted to do something completely different, the world of natural healing, and just that, it was very sad for me. My teachers were gone, right? I wanted to work with my teachers. I didn't want to be doing what I'm doing now, which is working without them, but life kind of made it like that,
Yeah, life made it like that, and now you took your time, I assume, to kind of deal with it, and now Sebi's living on with you,
And he did a powerful thing for me, which if you pass to the next slide, which is he pointed me to the South American plant medicines. And here I am with Maestro Pepe Francini from Peru. He was featured in Netflix documentary The Last Shaman. I was able to do a lot of beautiful work with him. And then the next slide is that's also me with him on the left, and then on the right is an Ecuadorian herbalist by the name of Maestro Luis Pucho.
Now, when you compare like Dr. Sebi and then to this other civilization, same basis, right? What was the difference between them?
Well, Dr. Sebi had a business. He was a businessman. He spoke in different places. He was not a shaman. Like these individuals, they live in the Amazon. They live in a different world. Dr. Sebi had to be in the world. He had to be to get the message out. So he had to be on TV. He had to be speaking. So I think that with naturally that comes a specific personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he had the personality, so he was the face of it, kind of, to put it in simple terms.
He was, and he had a lot of people helping him. I feel like Dr. Sebi was his own being, and then these individuals were like nature's guardian, like living there in the Amazon, knowing the secrets of, obscure things that people don't really know too much about.
Now, would they ever leave there and come here?
Yeah, some of them do. Maestro Pepe, the one on the left, he was traveling a lot, doing all types of things outside of his home, but not the teacher on the right. He lives there in his compound, and he actually has a place where people come and visit him. So that's
cool.
Essentially, the differences between them.
I asked that because like Italian people, like older ones, they stay in the same block for their entire life. It doesn't matter. You could say there's $1 million like 3 miles away. If it's not in their little block, they're not leaving. Right, especially from up north.
So
now this looks cool. Now what's going on here?
So this is one of our retreats in the Amazon that we did. Tyler's there all the way in the corner.
Where's
on
Tyler
top.
at?
Yeah, you know, see him. And
where's Waldo, Rob? Where's he at?
That's the whole group on the left.
If that's Tyler in the brown, Tyler.
Yeah, that's them.
He just picked a brown guy. He's 90 pounds.
I got him.
All right, you got him there. I don't know what you're seeing behind there.
So we took a photographer with us too, and she snapped this. So it's a whole group of us. We traveled a lot to get there, and we had to do like about an hour to 2 hours of walking inside of the jungle once we got there. That's me on the right, and just before going over this log thing that kind of, makes it harder to pass through. It felt like it was Indiana Jones kind of. It was really cool. There's a lot of things that we experienced in the jungle, but that was right before COVID hit. And essentially right after we came out of this jungle, we came out to this crazy world.
So you go in, you're like, okay, I'm in the jungle, away from everything. You come out to a bomb.
We come out to the world on fire.
How many bug bites did you get on that little trip?
I don't remember them. A
lot of bug bites though? You don't remember them being bad? I think you would get bit to shreds in that thing.
But it was a lot of moisture. So this is them doing traditional Indian face paintings. And so it's Tyler on the left, the chief operating officer of the company. And then this is the yoga instructor we brought, and she was also getting her face painted.
Okay, so when they do the face painting, like we're seeing here, what is that a symbol of? What is the value of that? Explain that to me.
So they do it with this alkaline substance called achiote, which is a seasoning that you can actually cook with. It makes things red, but you can also put it on your body. So the indigenous people use it as a way to express arts and crafts, decorate the warriors as well. So if you, go on the next slide.
Now, to get to the point where you get your face painted, do you need to accomplish something? Like, do you need to get to a phase of something?
I think in the old days, yes. But because we brought a group of foreigners, and for them, it's a unique experience getting. You
brought
painted.
Your own face painting.
No. They were the one that offered. So look at she's the one doing it right there. You can see indigenous as they get.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then on the right, you see they decorate. The warriors are usually decorated with that face painting as well, and the ladies do as well. It's a cultural thing.
I'm always interested in this because it's different than here. So the warriors in the back, they have the bees and everything else. That's to show that they're the warrior, right? They're above. They worked hard, or whatever, however you want to say it, the nicest. They're above the other people at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, the specific group is called the Shuar. The specific group of indigenous people that we're seeing here, they're called Shuar. Some of the indigenous people in Ecuador, there's all types, and a lot of them could be very hostile towards you. In this case, we were experiencing a lot of beautiful hospitality, where they're painting our faces and showing us around and, taking us to the caves. So that's what we did in our retreat. So we worked, we took a group of people, we showed them around, and they had a very natural experience in the jungle, right? Very rustic, no signal, getting water from the river, all kinds of stuff. It was very fun for us. It was just interesting to come out, like I said, to the whole COVID.
Right, go back.
It's like you go away from to a nice, peaceful retreat, right?
Yeah.
You get everything out of you, no phones, you're away, you're with nature, and then boom, it's like a tornadoing your parade. You know, you're having a parade, walk out to a thunderstorm, Kool-Aid smile is no longer a Kool-Aid smile.
I guess the comforting thing is that I wasn't alone, right?
Yeah.
And it happened to so many different people, the whole world. You know,
Yeah.
was
It's
a
almost
shock.
like turn around and go back into the
Yeah.
fire forest. Yeah, go
You
back.
ever think about going back in when you came out? You might as well if you wouldn't have had to wear a mask
definitely-
for 9
There was
months.
no going back, but I definitely thought about the simplicity.
You could have got
being
out of the
there.
mask for 9 months and just lived with people that know what's going on, unlike us.
Well, I do feel like part of my mission is to come out. You know,
Too bad you couldn't come out anywhere when COVID was there.
well, you know,
You had online though.
I did. Yeah, it was beautiful. You know, we have a beautiful tribe community that love and support us. You know, that those are the same people that chose to fly from everywhere to go see me since the beginning. So, you know, people really see the value in this, and for me, it's very heartfelt. You know, the work,
Absolutely.
and I do it for if we're successful in any way. You know, because we are in the sense of, you know, our company Sunray Wellness is a multiple 6-figure company, which is great.
Congratulations.
And if you know, that's true, it's only because my clients' success and everybody that we've helped, because otherwise there would be no success in that way.
And
you
that
know,
way it would be nothing.
yeah, it
you know.
would. You know, why?
There would be no purpose because, you know, you're not achieving what you set out to do, right?
Yeah, there's people that have their callings, and for me, it's taken, you know, 13 years to this date to be where I'm at. And I've learned a lot. I mean, coming out of university, knowing spirituality, I had no idea how to do a lot of things. And it took me a lot of time to figure things out. And, you know, what I love about retreats is that it's an immediate way to get to know me and to experience all that I have to offer. So when people come and meet me, it's easier, right? Like how kind of like how we're having a conversation. It's easier when you have someone face to face.
Yeah.
So
That's why I hate Zoom, Tommy. I mean, unless it's really somebody, because there's no personality, and then, you know, the audio's
Yeah.
off, so now, or
Yeah.
they're delayed, and then, you know, when you're in a conversation like on a screen, and then there's a delay on the other end, and they can't hear you, it just kills everything. You know, it's not personable, and the delay is going to happen within the 2 hours. It's just not going to at this day and age. And then when you have a delay, like in a, especially when you get down to
Right.
like serious stuff like we are getting into now,
you don't want to delay.
and it's
or-
delaying when we're going through a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
you just killed it.
Yeah,
you know.
Unless the operator's delayed back here, but yeah.
No, you're good, bro. But yeah, this is me doing conferences in Dominican Republic here on the left. It was a huge success. A lot of people came forward, and that's on the right. We're leading a retreat in Arizona, and you know we've done a lot of different types of events, but mainly it's to help people detox, learn about natural ways of helping their body mineralize and, you know, get well.
I think Arizona, I heard it's a mess now, but years ago, like I was there 7-8 years ago, it was so peaceful. I was in Phoenix,
Mhm.
and you could get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, see the sun. Nobody's in town. You could walk down. I mean, literally, like 4 cars went to a game for Phoenix Suns basketball. And it was so peaceful. And then you could see the big mountains and rocks and
beautiful.
volcanoes. Oh,
I
man.
want to go there.
Now with that border now, you don't want to go there.
When was this? When was that border?
No, I'm now with the border issue and everything.
Mhm.
They're just killing people. Fentanyl's coming over left and right. I didn't even know it came to Arizona.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. That's where we have a guy that comes in and he goes and cleans up trash. He went to Texas, De Rio, cleaned up
Mhm.
that 25 tons of trash there.
People just throwing stuff on
Just
the
throwing stuff all over. He went to Maryland, cleaned up there. People, he had a narc, 2 guys the first day he was there. They were high.
Wow.
In Texas, they put on an act where they'll act like, you know, they're drowning, and then you go to save him, and he didn't know, so he's jumping in this river saving this guy, but it's all play to get across, you know. Well, his next cleanup mission is Arizona because it's so bad.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad out there. 25 tons
Such
last
a
time.
beautiful state, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's good that he's going out to do it. You know, a lot of people are volunteering to help him out.
Yeah,
It's a good thing.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, some of your products here. You have a lot of interesting products on your website.
Yeah, well, This is some of the magic, right? Some of the different formulas, products that I've created and developed over the years. This is part of our highest coaching program. It's called the Elite Mentorship Program. Essentially, we only have 3 programs that we offer people. One of them is called the Sacred Cleanse. The middle program is called the Advanced Detox. And then this one is called the Elite Mentorship, which brings about, 12 products like you see there. And this is actually like a monthly supply. So people go through that for deep detoxing. Essentially, we have 4 different areas that we help people. The skin being my personal journey of success and triumph, that's a main thing. A lot of people have skin issues. They come to me. Anti-aging is really important. General wellness stuff, digestive issues, that kind of stuff. Weight loss is a big thing. And then also people with blood issues, people that, a lot of categories fall into there. A lot of different
autoimmune
things.
Disease.
Yes, that kind of stuff.
Because that's always a tough one. When when somebody gets an autoimmune disease, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to have to deal with. Bad.
There's so many classifications of autoimmune. I've studied that a lot because it's a recent phenomenon, and I have helped people with specific types of autoimmune. And it's a miracle what the body can do when you put the right things in there. So
I'll send you somebody because I saw it. It took this person where they had liver failure, kidney failure, because they couldn't figure out what it was. They kept diagnosing it as lupus and this and that. And by the time they finally diagnosed it, that was after dialysis and all these failures, 18, 19 years old, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of drugs, tons of this, tons of that, And who knows if this person will ever be able to have kids because of all the shit that they gave her. When I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but, Big Pharma wants the money.
There's a lot of classifications of autoimmune. Like you were mentioning lupus, that's... some people get lupus and then another diagnosis that's related to autoimmune. I think that there's a lot of researchers out there. My favorite guy with this, he's called the medical medium. It's kind of unorthodox methods, but he, has a whole sections in his books about autoimmune, and I have all of his 4 books, and I've read on that, and so that's probably the reason why people that like Dr. Sebi, right, others that have different methods, they're successful. We just think outside of the box. So a lot of people, when it comes to the autoimmune things, a lot of people are stuck. But my mentors definitely prepared me very well with that kind of thing. So it's really cool. I would love to share more, and we do that with minerals, with products, different things. A lot of these plant medicines people have never had, right. And we're talking about plants from South America, Central America, and combinations matter, Tommy. If you take the color red and yellow and you mix it, you get orange. But if you take the color red and you take black, you're going to get something else.
Right.
So herbal compounds, they work like that. Specific combinations accomplish different things and for specific purposes. So that's why I think Dr. Sebi was so successful in his early career, because he was doing a lot of 101 cases. As he started to grow, I think he started generalizing more his products. And I think that a lot of people started to maybe not find what they're looking for. And that's why some people come to me, because when it comes to specific situations, there's specific protocols, So like one of my teachers that I showed you in the jungle, this guy created this remedy that was able to get somebody's kidney stones out of their body within 12 hours.
It's unbelievable.
And there was a whole story with that, because one of the guides that took me to meet this teacher, the ones that we just showed, he was the guy that had these, these kidney stones. And he told me the whole story. Like, I drank this remedy in the jungle, and then I took the bus 12 hours back to the city. And when I got back home, I wanted to pee really bad and I couldn't, and then it just like boom, like a little rock came out of my urethra and stuff. Like, he told me the whole story, all from this natural remedy using indigenous plants. I mean, a lot of people want to get tricked by what's out there on the TV, and they'll tell you that nature is not going to be as effective, that natural remedies, that's not even serious. Let me laugh at you. That's what a lot of people say, right? It's weak. Natural remedies are weak. But when you go to the jungle and you take some of these medicines that are there that people don't know about, you would never think that nature is weak. I mean,
I don't think nature's
a
weak
lot of the
at all.
compounds,
Not at all.
a lot of the compounds for medicines that people use are derivatives of plants. There's so much undiscovered in the Amazon rainforest on its own in terms of the pharmacopoeia that's there. And I read that also somewhere that, you know, people are excited to discover the plants that are in the Amazons, because there's a lot of plants left to be identified, left to be, you know, determined and studied.
Well, it's like the oceans. We don't know what's under there. We can't even get down that far.
Right.
Same thing. I'll take a natural remedy that I know that works over a man-made, manufactured bullshit any day of the week. Because, I mean, use your head. Before there was all of this technology, what do you think people did when they got a kidney stone? They figured out a way over time to deal with it. When they got sick, they found, and you didn't have a doctor's office to knock on and make an appointment, right? Okay. You're in the forest, you're in the middle, you're in the desert, you're wherever.
Back in the days, a lot of us had our grandmothers, like in the villages, that knew all the stuff,
all the tricks, all the tea, like the right teas and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if they were able to survive it, obviously it's there. Just because there's man-made crap now.
Well, hell, I'll take it. I'll take any day. You watch the commercials on TV. It'll be like, this may cause and you're like, oh, I didn't even hear it all.
Yeah.
It causes what?
Like Ambien will put you to sleep. But the side effects, and you're like, damn, is this thing over? I'm gonna go get a soda. I'm gonna go get some alkaline water out of the fridge, and they're still telling you how you're gonna.
The best is like the last one. It'll be all those things. Like, it may cause this, or death.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh.
And then people actually go to the doctor and ask for it.
Oh,
yeah.
What the fuck?
I think what you're saying and what sticks out to me, I feel like I should point it out, is that there's sometimes in these commercials you hear suicidal thoughts
all the time
as a side effect. Yeah. Suicidal thoughts.
How can you approve that?
Thoughts.
How can you approve that?
So it goes to show that
they're controlling your
wellness is not just it's physical, mental, and beyond. So, you know, that's why a lot of people get surprised when they go through our programs. They feel like, man, like I just think clearly. Like I feel like I can think. I feel like I can, you know, focus. I feel like I can do a lot of things that I didn't before. And that's the power,
the mind is a powerful. The mind can kill you. Yeah. You can kill yourself. You know, stress is in the mind. I don't care what happens. True. Stress is in the mind, right? It's not physically. There's not like stress physically hits you. It's in the mind, and it's how you deal with it. Stress can kill you. Well, therefore, it goes into what you're doing.
It's a reaction in your body.
But it can heal you too, because I mean, I don't remember. I'm going to tell the story probably wrong. I think it was like my mom's great uncle, someone on my mom's side, and he got died. This was years ago. I'm talking, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago. He got diagnosed with some sort of cancer. The doctors told him, you know, hey, John, or whatever his name is, you have cancer. And he looked at the doctor. He's like, no, I don't. And they're like, yeah, you do. It's right. See that's cancer. He's like, no, I don't have it. And like, it's showing up, so there's something there. It's cancer, but in his head, he kept saying, no, he doesn't have it. No. And he told himself the whole time. Mom said the worst, because she was younger when this had happened. And then, you know, however long ago he went back for another test, there was nothing there then. So it was like the weirdest. I remember my mom telling me that story still, but like, how does that happen?
Mind, 100%. I believe it 100%. The mind has so much control, and you've been saying that since you walked in the door. And I agree with you. I was just building it up to that. The mind has more control than anybody can imagine, especially when you get into the science of everything. You know this stuff. I just know the science and the medicalness of it. You know, this really good stuff that you know. But the mind can kill you, save you. It's just an unbelievably powerful thing. And the fact that we only use, at best, 20% of it, maybe Elon uses 21%. Or 22, if he's from here.
Life as a human being has so many layers, right? We have the physical, like, hard layer, but then there's like the subtle layer with this like feelings, thoughts, or like, how do I feel about this, or like the vibe of things. Like it's a subtle world in there.
So complex.
And then there's more to that, even beyond, because like We can cover dreams and the science of them, but there's a lot of researchers that talk about the craziness that happens in dreams, and like, wait a minute, I dreamt this, but then it happened. And there's this doctor that I love. His name is Dr. Jacob Lieberman. He wrote a book called Light Medicine of the Future. He's an optometrist, and he wrote a lot of things related to vision and eyes and consciousness. And he did a TED Talk where he speaks that one day he had a dream where he saw the whole thing. That he saw the speech, he saw his daughter giving him like an introduction, and he was like seeing his body sleeping. He saw the whole thing, and then he came back into his body, and then a year or like 2 years later, the same event that he dreamt happened. And he says in this TED Talk, like, how has this happened? Like, I don't know. We don't know, because that's the thing about science. And the definition of science, as we were taught in school, is something that you can observe, prove by test, right? So like, you test the ball, and you write the results, and you hypothesize, and you observe it, and that's how it is. A lot of things that we're getting in this world, a lot of people talk about this too, is that some of it is not even science. Some of it is not even something that you can observe and prove. There's a lot of politics that come out, interest, and this. But I feel like, to go back to the human experience and thoughts, I feel like when people go through our programs, they oftentimes find that their abundance increases. Apart from the physical healing, apart from the physical wellness, they think better, they're more creative, they make better decisions. They have more radiant smiles, so it gives them more opportunities. They're not, because when you're in pain, like, think about it. If you have a splitting headache right now, you're not going to be able to look at me and concentrate and be present with me.
Or stressed out.
Yeah, because if you're experiencing pain, you're in here, you're in your body. You're not present, you're not here. And so a lot of us that experience skin issues, and it's just more than cosmetic. Because when I had skin issues, I didn't look my best, and I sure as hell did not feel that I had the confidence that I do now in terms of the way that I carry myself. So issues in health, they're just different layers of the same thing, where it's mental as well. So impotence, right, in men, like, think about it. Think about how some of that is mental with physical, right? It's a beautiful thing when you realize that the body is more than a mechanical thing. We're not just like a machine that you can fix. Oh, let me open up this iPhone and grab this little piece and take it out. And a lot of times I feel like the way that we view wellness is like the human body is a machine, so mechanical. But there's so much to it, and that's why when we take physical products and we feel better, like you see this girl, like, this is some of the testimonies with her skin. She had psoriasis, eczema, and she says, she writes to us that she was dealing with this issue a long time, and that when we showed her these methods, and made her life better, she was able to feel like she had a purpose again in her life. Like, she was able to like feel back into herself.
Well, yeah, first off, that's some bad eczema, number one. And number two, how could you have any confidence if you're a woman, you can't wear shorts, you don't feel good about yourself, you take your pants off, you look down, you're like, oh man, how could you have any confidence, motivation, self-esteem, and then progress in life? You can't.
And I've been down the road where you're trying to put all kinds of topical products on and it doesn't work. And
it's worse half the time, right?
When it comes to skin issues, a lot of that is in the blood. And so, so we have some of the social media links there where people can see me. But yeah, mainly I always post on Instagram, so I'm always active there.
That's your main spot to go to?
My main spot, yeah. And then I have some other media platforms there. But yes, it's a very exciting time to be in the wellness space.
So now, back to it in the blood. Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm interested in that. They find a lot of times that the skin issue is within the blood. Nothing to do with the skin. It's within the blood going through the body.
Right.
What is it? It's just there's something lacking, a nutrient lacking, a mineral. What is it usually?
Right. So in my experience, there is a couple of processes that are happening. So the quality of our blood is affected by the foods we eat. The liver is the main organ that does this. It actually helps create blood from the nutrients that we're absorbing after, the whole process is, digestive process is taking place, because there's so much happening, right? And metabolic functions, et cetera, et cetera. And what I learned is that there's blood issues in terms of toxins in the blood when the skin is affected. So it's usually mucus and inflammation, because when you have acne, for example, if you have a pimple, what comes out is pus or mucus or this kind of white substance that comes out. Inflammation, really. And that's the only way that the body is letting you know is through the skin. The pH of the skin is 5.5. So a lot of times when there's a skin issue is the pH of the blood that has been, off balanced. And what I find that also aggravates the skin, particularly within the foods that we eat, like I mentioned, is alcohol, yeast, dairy, and cigarettes, any kind of stuff like that does affect. Oily food is a huge thing. A lot of the oils that we're using, especially like olive oil, when you absorb it after it's cooked, it actually turns into a carcinogen in the body, and it absorbs it in a weird way. And that actually, these oils, they make the skin excrete the excess oils. And a lot of the times when you see, if you went back to the legs, sometimes when you see people with a lot of eczema issues, you see that their skin is like shiny as well as like red, and it's like
that's that nasty oil coming out of the pores,
it's a
right?
mixture of all the oils that are just off balancing the pH of the skin. And so the way that you target that is by cleaning up the blood. Obviously, you do that with food too, but there's a lot of toxins there in the blood usually when there's skin issues present. And this happens with acne, psoriasis, dermatitis.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the issues that, a lot of the issues that people find, there's also viruses that affect the skin as well, as as we all know. A lot of people know, different types like HPV, whatever. Usually there's a virus infection that shows up in the skin, and everybody knows that viruses are flying around, swimming around in blood. So that's really why, the skin, to target that, the way to do that is through the blood.
Amazing. What are some of the Amazon medicines that you saw with your own eyes, that you use in your courses, that you apply today with people with issues? What are some of the biggest ones that you learned in the Amazon and then brought back with you?
Right. I'd say, even just going with what I was sharing with the blood, there's a combination that I found to be very powerful. And it's a mixture of 3 roots, and I sourced them from Ecuador. And we have a bit more ingredients than what I'm going to mention, but these 3 ingredients are contained within one of my products that I use. And it's a combination of 3 roots. One of them is uña de gato, which is called cat's claw. And that one grows wild in Ecuador in the jungles. And it's very powerful, huge for immunity.
I heard that.
And when you source it from Ecuador, you're going to get it with all the complete minerals better than if you find it somewhere that, you don't know if they're ethically sourcing it. But
which product is that, Tommy? That you
one
have?
Of my products.
Can you go to tab?
It's called the superfood.
The superfood one.
Yeah, it's like herbal capsules. It's within the mixture of all the products that you were putting out there.
Okay.
But yes.
Scroll down. I just want to see which one this is. So we have. This is the detox.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the product because the specific one I'm mentioning, we, as of right now, we're only offering it to our coaching clients, so it may not be on the website for just, that one product, right? But mainly, to answer your question, it's cat's claw, which is called uña de gato in Spanish, chuchuhuasi, which is a very powerful root from Ecuador. Not a lot of people know about it, but through my travels, I was able to find this out. And one of them is Dr. Sebi's recommendation, which is sarsaparilla, It's also in the West here in the United States, there was a lot of consumption of sarsaparilla too. It's a common herb, but from Ecuador, the kind of or the type of sarsaparilla is much different. So the roots is much thicker than the one that you can get from Central America. So I sourced that from there. And the combination of those three, along with other plant medicines, have worked really well to clean the blood.
What was the most impressive, I don't know if I'm wording it right, but what was the most impressive heal that you've seen through your courses? Like that you paid it forward from your mentors, that you paid forward to somebody else, and then you saw it really work, and you were like, "Whoa!"
That I think that
was
the
one?
picture, Jenny. I think one of our clients. I said her name, but no one needs to know who she is.
There's thousands of
Jennies.
It couldn't be more of a broader name.
Yeah, but if she's listening to this, a lot of blessings to her, because she did her job, her part, because that's the most important thing. And I think when she sent us the picture the first time, I think I looked at it and I was like, whoa. It was so black and white. Skin issues, I think you could just tell, right? You don't need to say much, you could see it. So that's why I feel like that was really amazing for me, because other times you have all types of testimonies and people improving, but I feel like visually striking, I think that was really powerful for me. And so
because her eczema was so extreme, it wasn't just little rashes, that was
Yeah.
extreme, and then to go on the picture to the side, it's basically gone.
Yeah, so you
it's on
could
the
tell
ending stage.
because of the extreme condition. You could tell how powerful it was. I often say this, and I think you might like it to hear it this way, explained this way, is that a lot of people that are just looking for clean eating and that finding the ways of eating better, it's like washing your clothes in the washer without detergent.
Perfect.
Your eat clean is great. It's gonna do good for you. But the best way to clean clothes, as we all know, is water, the machine, and the detergent there. So for me, the plant medicines are like the detergent. And a lot of people that come to me, they really get that last, like, this is what I was missing. Like, this is it. Because a lot of people come from different backgrounds. There's people who don't know nothing. And there's people who like, yeah, I've been studying Dr. Sebi for years. I have a holistic, license and this. But, even a lot of holistic healers still need help. And we're looking for the best of the best. I mean, that's why I went to go see Dr. Sebi, because I wanted to learn from the best of the best. And one of my sayings, I think that it's not mine, but I think I made it mine from hearing it from someone else. And it really stuck to me. It's about, the mentors. It's like you want something, the easiest way to get it is to talk to somebody who already has what you want. And you get there.
And that's with anything. If you
With
want
anything.
a business, you always go
With
and
anything.
you follow somebody who's better than you,
Right.
way better, been through more than you. And instead of envying that person or, in a negative way, being envied negatively, instead of being jealous,
Mm-hmm.
you find the guy and you hang out with the guy and you learn,
Right.
right? Because he already made it. Being jealous and envy, which a lot of people do nowadays, is just stupid, because if you do what you did, like you did, look, you figured it out.
Yeah, I just gotta go to the people that that you want to learn from. And I think that it's been a life-changing thing for me to meet people that have what I want from them. And I think that for me, it was the desire to learn the truth. Because when Dr. Sebi came into my life, I mean, he started talking in his lectures about the things he did, healed people of a lot of things. And I was thinking, man, like, there's something missing about the natural path that I know. But when
Did you believe him? Did you initially believe him?
So when I found out about
You
him,
didn't
I
believe
was looking at someone else's lecture. So someone was lecturing about a certain topic, and he said, go look at this guy named Dr. Sebi, whatever. So from that guy, I believed him. And so I said, let me look up who this Dr. Sebi guy is. I'm not even joking. When I found out about him, I started tearing up like, whoa, this is crazy. This guy healed people of all kinds of things, went to court, proved it, And at that time, my mentor who was guiding me through all my health stuff, had just passed. And so I felt that Dr. Sebi came as a way for me to sort of target like my focus. Because after my first teacher passed, I was like, oh, what do I do now? And then Dr. Sebi came as like the next step. So I studied him. And at first, I didn't embrace all of his stuff. I was struggling with a lot of things. So for example, he said he had like alkaline foods, and he said these foods are alkaline. And I had my own trial and error. And I'll tell you, so I loved, before going to school and university, I loved to make oatmeal with fruits. And every time I ate this, I felt this acidity. I would burp like this acidic, feeling. And I was like, all right, let me find out Dr. Sebi's stuff. I substituted oatmeal for quinoa, and I added my things, and I made it sweet, which is quinoa is a cereal type of grain. And so I did the same thing I did, but I just switched the oatmeal from the quinoa, and I didn't have these burps anymore.
You would never think that oatmeal, right, would give you burps.
Yeah.
You would never
So
think that.
oatmeal is actually an acidic substance. It's not.
Wow.
It's not as natural as people think.
And you would think that is the naturalest thing you could get,
Yeah.
right?
So that's why.
Wow.
That's when I started to really pay attention and realize this guy might have something after all. And again, I was already kind of halfway there to his philosophy, but even then there was this resistance, right? Like, nah, I like my oatmeal, whatever. Like, and then.
See, and that's the problem with scientists too, and doctors. The resistance to change, the resistance to go against the grain. A lot of
We all have
astrophysiologists that we've talked to, they know that things are different now, but they don't want to go against the grain. So a lot of these astrophysiologists and doctors, and the list goes on, they know that things are different now, and they know what they're giving out or what they're teaching or pushing isn't right anymore. But they don't want to be that doctor, that astrophysiologist, the forensic scientist. They don't want to be that one to go against the 100 years of what was thought.
Because you get ostracized.
Right, and then the few that do and come out and say, hey, look, no. Look, I don't come out of my cave, but I'm going to come out of my cave now because it's just too wrong, which we've seen during the pandemic. And they go against the grain and they get murdered. So then the guys that were like maybe on the tip of coming out, they're like, I'm going back in the tunnel. Because they don't want to get killed. And that's a horrible thing because it stunts growth. It stunts growth in healing, medical, whatever it may be, because these guys don't want to go against the grain.
Right. Actually, if I may share this with you guys.
Sure.
Because this goes so deep. For me, I found this out through this movie that was made. And it might feel like it's off topic, but it's not. Trust me. It's called The Mystery of the Sphinx. Right, so in Africa, everybody knows the landmark, the Sphinx, right? So this movie came out in the 90s. They got this geologist from Harvard to go to check out the Sphinx. And this guy says, by looking at the Sphinx, he says, man, this Sphinx has weathering, but it's from water, not from sand.
You got to watch this, Rob.
And so I'm not even joking. This was, they get a bunch of people to look at the Sphinx, like all these geologists, and they all agree, but it goes against the narrative of the Egyptologists that have this sort of timeline of when the Egyptians did what they did. Because when you look at when was the last time that there was a lot of water in the Sahara, we're talking about almost 200,000 years. We're talking way back. So it goes against the 10,000, 15,000 year history of humankind. And this movie captures it. Like, it literally captures this. Look, the geologist from Harvard had no agenda. He's like, look, I don't have any agenda. I'm not trying to do anything other than to tell you that, like, that weathering comes from water. Like, that's it. There's no other way. And all the geologists agree, but there's politics in play. So that movie, for me, it let me know that even within the scientific community, there's a lot of politics and interests, and it's a deep topic just because even within the wellness industry, there are a lot of healing technologies that were developed over the years, and I've done my research on a lot of these things. So it's nothing new. The only thing that we can do is educate people and telling people to research themselves. Like, you guys that are watching this, you guys can watch this movie, Mystery of the Sphinx, and you know how we've been dealing with scientific facts for years. I mean, the electric car is nothing new.
Nothing new.
Nothing new. There's been people developing a lot of different methods, and we're, unfortunately, I feel like as human society, we have been handicapped by special interests in many ways.
Times a million. And in that movie, remember, that lake was right there. Like where the Sahara is?
Mm-hmm.
There were like a big lake. It was separated. It wasn't just all one. 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, there was a massive, they call it a lake. To me, it looked like a mini ocean, but it was separated. Tons of water right there in between. And that's how they, nobody knows because nobody was there, but the couple that go against the grain, but no scientist. It's documentaries. Like you go out to the Sahara Desert, you take your, what's that camera called everybody uses all the time?
GoPros.
You go out there and you study it, you do the research, and then when you talk to them, they show you maps that there was a huge lake in the Sahara Desert, but I haven't personally, and I've studied it because it's super interesting. How everything was built and came up and went down, and with the oceans and everything. And when you see that it was there, and it makes total sense, but then you can't find one scientist, archaeologist, not one, that actually wrote a paper and submitted it. Not one. Even though they have the map of it there, and it makes total sense, and they'll come out and say, yeah, it was there, but they don't put it in literature.
Right, and
that's how fucking crazy it is.
With this is really important too. I know that a lot of people love the pyramids. There's a documentary out there where a lot of engineers. My dad's an engineer. He builds stuff, so that's part of why I'm interested in all this.
Did you ever ask him about the pyramids? I'd love to know what that meant.
They said that, like, even right now with the equipment we have, like, it's hard to build, to replicate it. It's actually impossible. The blocks weigh too much.
How could they have built them? What's your opinion? Give me your opinion, Tommy.
Come
on, Tommy. You brought the pyramids up. Tyler should have warned you.
No. I'm just saying, because that's one of those things that I was faced with, because I was, again, I went to UF, right, and I was taking a class called African History. Obviously, the pyramids are in Africa, so people don't know that.
They're even in Mexico. Mexico,
there's
Colombia.
everywhere.
I couldn't believe it.
There's everywhere. But yeah, and in school they tell you that they build them with copper ropes, and then copper utensils and ropes, and then
one of those little bricks is a ton.
Yeah. I know. And then at the same time that I'm taking this class, you go to YouTube and you have all these engineers from France saying, like, look, even with the cranes right now, we cannot do it. So I just think there's a lot more mystery to life than we know, and I think that I live my life more open than not. I noticed you got your
all kinds
collections,
of shit going on here.
Kinds of stuff. But yeah, not to be going too much off the wall. But what I think has brought a lot of value to my life has been learning directly from the people that I've wanted to learn. And so, you can learn about all kinds of things when you do that, because you better believe that all people, high influence people, know about a lot of topics, and you'd be surprised. Like, there's a lot of people who know a lot. Dr. Sebi knew a lot. He knew Michael Jackson. He knew, like, a lot of celebrities. He knew a lot of people. Yeah. So by me sitting with him, it fast forward my success. Like, I saw his mistakes, the things that he did, and I think that I learned from that, and I also learned from the great things that he did, and that's why what I've done in memory of all my teachers, not just Dr. Sebi, because a lot of people have taught me. I've had mentors in business, I've had mentors in music, I've had mentors in film, mentors in herbalism, of course, and that's how I think I'm gonna continue to impact the world, because I keep learning from the people that I know have things to teach me. And even now there's so much to learn and discover, for sure, but what I've done in memory of my teachers is, Sunray Wellness is a reflection of my teachers. In all of my products, I say in honor of Rasta Hootie and Dr. Sebi, which are basically the biggest influences for me when it comes to the natural healing arena. And I called my program Fasting with the Masters. And I did that because it was learning from masters that I was able to even put everything that I have together. And when I show you these testimonies, it's not even as a way to say I did this. It's a way to show what's possible in nature, because I, like Dr. Sebi and my teachers before me, one day I'm not going to be here, but these teachings will. And, there's always going to be somebody that's going to talk about this, and there's always been somebody throughout the years and years and years that we've been living that has, shared a message that's similar. And so what I think is that people should know is that mastery is possible. You can master your body, your mind, and, harness your full potential, your spirit, right? Because that's ultimately what illness does. It doesn't allow you to manifest your full potential. When you're experiencing acne or diabetes or whatever, you're not out there playing. You're not present. Remember we talked about it, because even with a headache, so simple, but you're not going to be able to have a full conversation with me because you're thinking about how painful it is to have a headache. And that's what I realized, and we want to bring that to everybody. But we're doing that with teachings that work, which is why Fasting with the Masters is the program that it does. All these different testimonies, every so often that we get, it's because we do that with mastery. So I created a program that I wanted when I was starting out. You know what I mean? I created something that I would have wanted to have, because a lot of people want to meet Dr. Sebi or have desires to have met him. Oh, you're so lucky. They always say to me, oh, you're so lucky you met Dr. Sebi. Like, lucky? Like, lucky? Like, I worked for years with a mentor. Like, my parents did not buy me the ticket there. Like, I got it with all of my hard work and scholarship, and nobody wanted me to go to Honduras. Believe me, my mom and my dad were like, there's all kinds of crimes there. Do not
what
go.
Are you crazy, Tom?
Crazy,
yeah.
like, la, la.
Lucky, yeah. No, you just didn't see the amount of work and time I put into this to get to the point where you got to.
Right. So, after Dr. Sebi died, I shared, I met all these different healers, and I think that I learned so much more. Like the urinary tract story with the kidney stones. Like, I mean, Dr. Sebi didn't tell me that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, you learn from everybody. You take the good. I think for me it's been like that. I've ignored a lot of the crazy things, 'cause believe me, in the healing world, a lot of these shamans, I can only imagine, a lot of these shamans in the jungle, they're not monks. They have a lot of influence, and they're human, and they're human too. But just the other day in our community in Miami, I say just the other day, but it happened many, many, many months back. There's all kinds of things happening with shamans and sexual misconduct and all kinds of things. And so, with healers, a lot of people are looking for the real deal in shamanism and plant medicines and everything. They're looking for the real people. Like you said in the beginning, like, how do you know what's fake? And so I feel like that question is what brought me even to be here right now, and what's brought my products out, is because people were like, Tommy, I bought all these products from so-and-so. I don't even know if they work. Can you help me? And so a lot of that has been my life, is trying to help people get back on track.
Well, Tom, you know what happens when somebody like Dr. Sebi passes away, and like we said, there's 100 other guys that are just as expert-ish as him. It's just he is the most popular, like you said, right? So when that gets out there in the news, now every Tom, Dick, and Harry is a healer, right? Now, a percentage of those healers are taking advantage of that. So now John Doe goes to get healed because he thinks he's, a mentor of Dr. Sebi, because now you have the internet, you can say whatever you want. And you go there, and next thing you know, you go get some alkaline water, you get some plant-based food, who knows what the hell's in it, and you don't even remember what happened the last night. And that's what these people do. That's what they were doing. And it doesn't mean that the shamans or whatever group it is are bad. That's just one bad tool in the toolbox. But that sets off a tone that, I don't want to be around that. Then they go to you, because they know that you personally dealt with Dr. Sebi, and they know that, you know, they're not going to go to Joe Schmo over here and maybe not wake up, or you know what people do. I mean, this is real. This isn't just playing around.
Right, right. And I mean, just to be real, there's a lot of people with, I would say, you know, I don't know their life. I don't know, arguably, perhaps with less experience than me, way more popular selling products a lot of times. A lot of people that buy from them, they come from to me, they're like, look, all I have is products, but I have no idea how to do, because that's a big thing. Like, look, I can buy BMW car parts and I can try to put it together by myself, but I'm not a BMW, you know, manufacturer, or I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah.
So I think like the internet is great because it gives you reach in a lot of things. You can read about a lot of stuff, but a lot of people are getting inspired by Dr. Sebi. They read a book about herbalism and they think that they're an herbalist. And a lot of those people are just not mechanics buying BMW car parts trying to put it together in their house. And I think that I wouldn't dabble into things that I don't know and try to do something, you know, shitty. Excuse my language, but it's true. Like, I took 13 years to do this, you know. I mean, these formulas, they took time, and it took trial. It took, you know, understanding the way compounds work. It took...
Well, look, when you were talking about the water, both of us were trying to get it out quick to ask what water you were taking. We couldn't wait to ask what water, couldn't you? You know what I mean? So you see the interest because we know that you know. Mm-hmm. Right? So when you know that you know, I don't have to go to Whole Foods or whatever half-assed place, in my opinion, and half of it's real and good and legitimate, and the other half, they got a kick. It's just the way it is.
Right.
It's just business, right? You know, Amazon comes in, hey, we're taking, because Whole Foods messed up, so Amazon came in and bought whatever percentage of it, they own it. That's why Whole Foods is on Amazon. So now you have one aisle of probably 10% of the aisle is legitimate and right, and the other 90, who knows? So that's why him and I were looking at you like, which one is it? Which one is it? And you're in that great position where you can help people with that because nobody knows. And who the hell do you trust these days? With something like this, who can you trust? Me personally, as a citizen,
appreciate it.
With the crazy shit going on right now, not anybody I don't know. Or like, you know, I know Tyler, I know how he is, and Tyler and I talk a lot. So, you know, if he says Tommy knows the stuff, I know you know your stuff. So I want to know what the hell this Alkaline thing.
Yeah, and I think...
And the brand.
Right.
You got to make your own water, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. I think what you're saying to me hits home, just because for a lot of times I struggled with that, because in my community there were people, you know, getting, I would say, deceived. A lot of that was happening.
I'll say
a lot of
deceived out the ass.
Deceived.
You go to your primary care physician, you're going to get deceived. It's whatever drug he's getting a kick that month for. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I much rather take a plant or something from an animal that works or whatever it may be than any pill ever, because it's never going to work anything like a plant. And I don't care what you believe. If you look at a tiger and a cat and you don't see a similarity, you need a really good doctor. Like, well, not a doctor, like a really good therapist.
Right.
Okay? You look at a wolf and a dog and you don't see a similarity, no matter what you believe, they look pretty fucking close, right? Okay? So something from an animal or a plant, the body is obviously going to absorb.
React to it better.
Way better, right? I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that out, but a brain surgeon will tell you opposite. That's what's crazy. But he knows. When he goes to bed at night, he knows.
There's a lot of research
Sorry, I really don't like Big Pharma.
No, it's okay.
Because I'm with you with all this.
There's a lot of research coming out about this. One of the things that I love in MIT, they did a study on fasting, and they talk about how like fasting boosts stem cells research or whatever. And just underneath that, they don't even hesitate. They're like, drug that could mimic fasting, like blah, blah, blah. And look, I think Western medical system has this place. I've broken bones. You know,
But go back to that time.
God forbid, if anything happens to me, I need to get sewn back up.
How could you take a pill to fast? Just explain that.
I in my book, I go into detail about this because I use that MIT reference, and I go into detail about how a drug can never mimic fasting. Because what fasting is you're you're not digesting as much foods, or you're trying to maximize your digestive energy to use it in other ways. So that's what fasting is. And we fast whether we like it or not. Because when we wake up in the morning, we have breakfast. It literally is breaking fast, because we're in a state of rest when we're sleeping. And that's why they say that you build muscle also while you rest. And that's because when we are in that state of fasting, there's a lot of things that go on.
RAM, everything else.
Yes,
right,
yes.
yeah.
A lot of things are happening for us.
And I would assume that we agree on this, is that fasting is more than just not eating, right? So you take a pill, okay, it makes you not hungry. The point of the fasting, which the courses that you do in the retreats, right? Within all of what you're doing, the fasting isn't just about you not eating. It's the mental, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the mentalness. You're not eating. You have to fight through it. You know.
There's different types of fasting.
Explain to me why fasting's so important to you.
Yeah, so there's different types. Like I said, dry fasting is when you don't eat anything. Liquid fasting is when you're drinking water and maybe juices and stuff like that. You're doing raw foods. A lot of people like just eating fruits, vegetables, salads, and stuff without cooking it. There's also where you could liquefy everything, cooked or not cooked. You could also do, abstaining from meats and stuff could be a types of fast. When you look at the definition of fasting, it's literally defined as the abstention of certain foods and drinks or all foods and drinks. So fasting is a general term that can be applied to different topics. What fascinated me about fasting was that it's in a lot of religious traditions around the world. Fasting is mentioned, particularly in the medical research facility. It's helping us understand how to live longer. You know, they did experiments on mice, and they found that fasting for them, was better for their longevity. For us, I think it does us a lot of good, and, we can do it in a lot of ways. So what I'm saying is certain types of fasting might be good for one person, but maybe another types of fast might be good for the other. So there's ways in which I help people apply that into their life.
How would a liquid diet be fasting, though? Because you would take actual food and blend it into a liquid,
you're
right?
abstaining from anything that is not liquefied. So by definition, yeah. So fasting is not the abstention of calories.
See, that's what I think. I think of calories, right? So when you say a liquid diet, why I say, well, that's not fasting, because you're taking calories, blending it, and drinking it instead of eating it.
Right. But a lot of things happen that are good for the body when you do that. So
what happens? Because you're still eating the food, it's just blended.
Right. There's a certain metabolic function that allows the body to not spend as much of the digestive energy that you would otherwise
because
do.
It's already in liquid form.
Yeah, it's already in liquid form. So when you try different types of fasts, you can tell the subtlety. So, when you take like juices without any fiber, and then when you take like soups with fiber and then you try it, you would get different results. Like you would feel a lot more heavy with like a soup versus something that has no fiber in your body.
Makes sense.
And so that's how you can intensify types of fast. For most people, when they come into my program, they do intermittent fasting, which is a mixture of a time period where they're not eating anything solid and a time where they are. So you can intensify that as you will. So some people, they only have water during the liquid time, and then they eat whatever they want later in the day. Some people, they have water, coffee, tea. Some people, they have water, juices. Some people, they have water, juices, smoothie, tea, and whatever they want. They could essentially mold fasting to whatever anybody wants to experience.
When I had the engineering firm, we were going around to a lot of places. I can't tell you how many people I met, like 40s, 50s, 55, that would do this. I want your opinion on it. They wouldn't eat from, like, they would go to bed at, say, 11 o'clock at night. So 11 o'clock at night till 5 p.m. So 11 p.m. all through the night, all day long till 5, 6 p.m. they wouldn't eat. And then they had 2-3 hours where they could eat whatever they want. So then they would like hog down a large pizza,
my
3
God.
buckets of ice cream. You know, I'm exaggerating, but they would eat a ton.
Right.
So their hours of eating was 5 to 7.
That's
5 to
intermittent
8.
fasting.
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent
But I mean, they would go to town.
They could.
And
Technically.
is that? Do you think that that's healthy?
It's a good question. I think intermittent fasting is by far the most popular type, and the reason why it is because people can eat whatever they want while they do intermittent fasting, while they practice intermittent fasting.
Yeah, because they figure, well, if I can just go 13 hours without eating, 14 hours, I can go have
Yeah,
a large
they
pizza
eat.
with Parmesan and
yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And people lose weight, and people, do that just simple thing, and don't even change their diet at all, and they have great
Health-wise,
results.
what do you think about that?
Health-wise, I don't think it's good. I think
Yeah.
that breaking your fast is an important thing. So when your body is in a state of fasting, the things that you should be ingesting are fruits, herbal teas, kind of stuff like that, light. You kind of bring more nourishment like that, and then you ease your way into something heavy. A lot of people practice intermittent fasting different ways. I know that people sometimes break their intermittent fasting with sausages, like heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of people in the keto world that eat meat, animal products and stuff and do intermittent fasting. It's not to knock anything on anyone, just making observations. The amount of people that have come to me because they've had constipation due to keto and stuff like that is because, we are mostly supposed to be eating fruits and vegetables. And we should be drinking a lot of liquids because our body is 70% of liquids, really. So that's what Dr. Sebi said. He said to me, like, if we're 75% water, then our diet should be 75% liquid.
Well, that would make sense, right?
That's what he said. And that's why a lot of people, when they practice intermittent fasting, which is exactly that, they have good results because they're limiting all the food that they're eating and they're giving their body more time to have liquids. So
how does astrophysiology or astrology, how does that play into the healing?
Okay.
That
like astrology?
Yeah, astrology. I said it wrong.
No,
I had to say
worries,
a couple
no
things
worries.
wrong. Yeah. How does
did you
that
catch
play
that from my website? Or
yeah. And I was like, ooh, I want that one.
So, I think it does a number of things. From what I've studied, I think that astrology, depending on the things that you consider, can tell you your mineral deficiencies or not. And that's something that this doctor developed called his name escapes me, Schuler, I think is his name. His cell salts. And he basically said that when you incinerate a cell, like when you burn it,
Mm-hmm.
you get 12 mineral salts. And ironically, that's 12 of the zodiacs, 12 months of the year. And so this guy came up with a system to put specific minerals for their zodiac sign, and they call them the mineral cell salts. And for me, I know this is really interesting, so I'll talk about myself, and then, from there people can get their opinion. Because I struggled with a lot of skin issues, I noticed that particularly in my astrology, there is a mineral compound that is attributed to the sign Virgo, which I'm a Virgo. I have a lot of Virgo when you study my astrology, but regardless of what it means to anybody, according to this system that I just spoke about called the cell salts, the mineral that corresponds to Virgo is called potassium sulfate. And when you lack that mineral, you have dryness behind the ears, dry skin, dry scalp,
bad nails,
all that
hair's
stuff.
bad.
Yeah, so I struggled with, strangely enough, like that's been one of my struggles, was dry scalp, seborrheic dermatitis, acne, all the stuff dealing with the skin. So when I started fixing that, I started figuring out that I can get potassium sulfate through watercress, cucumbers, a lot of different minerals, plant medicine foods, plant supplements. And as a result of that, I got rid of all of the little ridges that I had on my nails, and the dry scalp is non-existent. Sometimes I could get flaky if I put oil and I go out into the sun, but it's okay. I just wash it off. But the ways that I've learned about the body, they're probably not common to a lot of people, but there's all types of things.
Should be.
I mean, there's all these homeopathic methods that I've learned. That's just one of them. And sometimes I use that method to help people because it could be the missing link for a lot of people.
I think that salt's huge. When I studied that, and I did hard, it was based upon the moon. Where the moon was and the gravitational pull would shift sand, the waves,
right?
Because the moon controls the waves.
That's how we know astrology works.
Right. Because the moon controls the waves, so therefore it would control the sand under the waves, right?
We're water too.
There you go.
So the gravitational pulls of these planets, and they pull our water inside of us too. That's why if you heard the term lunatic.
Yeah. Luna.
Yeah, it's because the moon is because they found that when there was a full moon, a lot more crimes would happen, a lot more crazy things would happen. So people say lunatic as like you're crazy.
Yeah.
But it comes from that term. People say it's a pseudoscience, but when you consider that, like you said, waves are determined by the moon phases or whatever, I do find a lot of merit on this. I'm going to write a book on this specifically because so what happened is that when I wrote Fasting with the Masters, the first edition of it, I put some of that research in there. But I find that I want to give it its proper formation. I have to write a book only about that where I can really dive deeper.
It's too complex
it's
just
too
to
much.
throw
It's
it in with
lot.
something else.
Yeah.
Because
so
you have Jupiter pulling too. So the rings on Jupiter is what controls the moon.
All the planets.
So if you don't have those rings on Jupiter, then there's no gravitational pull from the moon. The moon goes wherever the hell. We're done for.
Right.
And everything changes. So when you go all the way back to that salt that we're talking about, it goes from Jupiter, the moon, to us. Crazy, huh?
Right. And just for people, for people that are hearing this, it might be lost or whatever. Like, I'm not even talking about any of the influences that people have with astrology predicting your future. Like, all I'm talking about is physical mineral compounds that, can be attributed to how we operate. So that's how I use it. That's how I use that knowledge to help people with mineral deficiencies. I don't dive into
the whole conspiracy. Blah, blah.
I mean,
we're talking facts about why the moon's where it's at and how the sand is where it is and how the salt became the salt.
Astrology is complex. You have you have a lot of you have your moon, you have your Mercury, you have like all these things. And it's a lot, and it's a whole thing. It's not just your moon and your sun, or like I'm a Virgo, so therefore I do this. It's not like that.
You got to write a book on that.
Well, here's the thing: all of the zodiacs are inside of our body, and that's actually studying this stuff is how I found Dr. Sebi. So, they say that Aries, which is the first zodiac, it's called the goat, the ram. Sorry, they call it the ram. So it's the head, because you see like rams, like they're always like with their head. And so the last sign of the zodiac is the two fishes, which is called Pisces, and that's our 2 feet.
That's me.
That's our 2 feet.
What does Pisces mean to you? What's that mean?
It's a zodiacs they're distributed in different elements. So there's water signs, air signs, earth signs, fire signs. Pisces is a water sign. And there's a lot to it. There's a lot more to you than just that. But
which was the fun one when we were in school and we were like, you do not want to date her. She's what was that sign when you would check and see if the girl was that? Because you would be like, oh boy, I'll never hear the end of this.
Well, I don't know. I would say Aries.
Aries. I think it was Aries. It was whichever one that was the big drama queen and it had headache stamped. We would go around. When's her birthday? She's hot. Not anymore. See ya. Next one.
Nah, I'm just joking. There's all kinds of people out there. Good Aries, bad Aries, good Virgos, bad Virgos, whatever.
No, I probably just picked the bad one every single time. About 0 for 20 by now.
You should talk to
I should take a fucking course is what I should do and get my head together.
It's funny. I think it's funny with Tyler, not that I don't want to put you into the spot, but I think like he's had like without knowing, just he's only dated one zodiac sign. I think that's kind of fascinating.
All my life, only Libras. I don't know why.
Only Libras, huh?
Never know. You know, I think that there's a lot of people that without knowing people's signs, like they naturally have compatibility and they marry without knowing that, oh, this person is a Taurus and I'm supposed to be with this Taurus or whatever. You know, there's a lot of people who do it without knowing. You know, my dad is one of them. He doesn't care. But it's funny that him and his current wife, they do match, like in the zodiac. So it's funny.
Kind of off subject, but I remember when I was younger, we would go out and really, like girls would come up and be like, when it was a big thing, when they would look at it, what are you? I'm a Pisces. Oh, well. I mean, it was that great. Remember that time period? Maybe it was the 99. You were only 9 years old.
I was not close.
Yeah, it was like 99, 2000 when it was a big thing, when everybody would look at it and read it and base their day off of it. And girls wouldn't date certain guys and guys wouldn't date certain girls. And it was just the newspaper article. Who the hell knows?
Let's be real. It was mostly girls.
Girls
not dating certain guys.
All right. I was trying to get myself. Asshole. I'm just kidding.
Let's be real, because we guys, like,
I don't care. We would joke around, you know, about who it was, like, oh boy, she's gonna be a rough one tonight, but we'd still do it. But the girls would be like, nope, X, you know, like we're the devil or something. If you're, you know, just
no, that's funny. That's funny.
So now
thank you for asking. I know a lot of people want to know about the whole cell salts, and you know, I do have it hidden there, and I've kind of avoided it just because there's a lot to dive deep, and it kind of sounds like a rabbit hole to some people too. You know?
Well, it is really, you know. So, and like you said with the astrology, you know, you want to do a book just on that because it's so complex and so deep, right, Tommy, that you can't incorporate that with something else. It has to just be that. Right. So, you know, maybe you would have 5 different books specifically on them, you know, different things that you're passionate about, and then one monster of everything.
Right. I mean, right now I'm kind of, I did that. So fasting with the masters, at first it was one thing and it had all these types of topics, but now I created this three set of books. So essentially it's a set of 3. One of them is my story from beginning to end. So like me coming over here, you know, having a bad time with the food, and like all the stuff, all the way to meeting Dr. Sebi, our pictures, me getting on the plane like that. That one's called The Path to Self-Healing. So that one is my story. I want people to relate to the things that I went through, right? Creating my company, all that, that's there. And then I separated that into 2 other manuals that complement the story. One of them is a fasting manual, which is really important. I talk about all things relating to fasting and what's the safest form and why it's good, why it's not safe to do it if you don't know what you're doing, and all these things. So that became a thing. And then I created a whole detox manual as well that complements it. So understanding some of the stuff about natural plants, not, you know, hybrid foods, all the stuff Dr. Sebi talked about. There's other ways to help your body heal and become alkaline, and so I talk about that there as well. So
and
like,
where can we get these 3 books?
Going to the sauna is one, like, you know, these different things that are complementary therapies. So you can get them on my, well, we'll share the links so people below, they can be able to access it, to go directly to it. But essentially it's a 3 set of books called Fasting with the Masters, all relating to the program. And, you know, I mentioned that the detox programs that we have within the umbrella Fasting with the Masters are there as well. And that ultimately goes to the book and the song, you know, right? So it's all related. The book, the song, the programs, the retreats, all under the same Fasting with the Masters umbrella. So
why is music so important to all this?
Music is important because in the traditions of the Amazon rainforest, when you do a sacred plant medicine ceremony, you start to see that vibration is an important thing. And when I studied in UF religion, I did a project on the Hare Krishnas that really illuminated to this truth. And I think you like hearing what I have to say, which is, and the people too, which is essentially that frequency is everything. And the reason why we get Wi-Fi and it goes through the walls of our house, and you can be in your kitchen and you can have the router in upstairs, right? And you can still get signal, right? It means that the signal frequency is going through. Physical matter is going through the walls and you still get access to it. And the Hare Krishnas believe that the chanting of the mantras that we hear. If anybody has heard the Hare Krishnas chant, they say that that's the most important spiritual devotion because you're chanting holy names and it's frequency, and it goes through the physical matter of physical body. So it goes straight to the heart when you chant something.
Just like the Wi-Fi.
Right. It's just like the Wi-Fi and just like frequencies that you can go through. So
great analogy.
When you are working in plant medicine world, plant medicine dimensions, there's usually a shaman that has a repertoire of healing tools in the form of songs. And, that happens a lot with ayahuasca ceremonies. So music and plant medicine was revealed to me when I had my first ayahuasca plant medicine ceremony. So whenever there's, ceremonies in all traditions, whether it's peyote, San Pedro, all these sacred medicines, there's always a drum and there's always a prayer, and these songs is not just, it's not just a song. Because I feel like in modern society, we think of songs. Yeah, songs. I can put on my iPod, like, 50 Cent in the club. Like,
that's what people think.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. But these are ceremonial prayers that we can call songs. So when someone is going through a trance in a plant medicine, you have the song that guides your spirit so that way it doesn't get lost. So it's interesting that in a plant medicine ceremony, music is an integral part. So for me, when I started to get initiated in these practices, I started to host ceremonial spaces. And that's when I started to put my talent in music that I've had for years, channeled it into healing arts as well. So music is important because it carries a message and a prayer and intention. And so when I created this song called Fasting with the Masters, and I modeled it off of that, I realized how important it was because culture is important. And nobody has to take anything that I recommend. They don't have to take my product. They don't have to take alkaline water. They don't have to do anything. But they can listen to the song and they can hear the message. They can hear the 13 years of going into the jungle, meeting with these teachers. You hear it all there because not only is my body clean, from all the years of work. So my thoughts, the way that I channel the music, the way that I arrange things, it's really entertaining. The guy who produced it, he's actually a keyboard player for Julian Marley. His name is Jamie Hickson. Shout out to Jamie if you ever watch this. But yeah, he's the one that produced the song, and it has shamanic elements, and reggae has been, a big part of my life. So we mixed it all together. So the genre is reggae, but it's like shamanic, so it has that message. So music is important because people can listen to it, without having to take anything, and they could feel medicine, they could feel healing.
And would you say when you use the music at the ceremonies, it's used, just to make it a simple term, to get you in the mood, to get the mind, the body, every emotions in the mood to start the ceremony?
It's a bit more than that, yeah.
I'm just trying to simplify.
No, I know.
Right? You know what I mean?
It's more to it. There's it's I don't know how to explain this. I'm gonna try.
I tried my best.
No, but let me share that because it's not setting the mood. It's not so that way everything's okay. Because sometimes you would hear a shaman sing a song and people just start purging, because there's specific Quechua words. Quechua is the language of the indigenous, and there's specific words that have a frequency. Just like I could say I love you. Love has a frequency.
Isn't it like a sonic sound or something that it will hit a certain way and can really affect?
Yeah, like you'd be in a ceremony and there would be a shaman singing a song, and somehow that the frequency is hitting your liver.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. And so I remember being in a ceremony where, a shaman started singing a different song, and the visuals of the frequency, they could take people to a space that you need to watch. So a lot of people, they create blockages in their mind, or where they bury things.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just need this shaman from Peru to be like, yeah, 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 dun, dun, and then like it just goes straight to you, and you're like, what? Why am I thinking about when I was 8 that I was doing? And then people just start purging all of the stuff. So shamanism, music is a big thing, and it's not just a song. So not everybody could do it. I feel like you have to have a real shamanic ability to perform this, and you know, Tyler has seen some of these things with his own eyes and understands what he's talking about. So for people that don't know, Tyler Bennison, he did, you know, a podcast interview here. You could check it out as well.
Yeah, did very well. They did really good. But it makes total sense because these guys know the sonics and the beats, and you call it a beat, but it's not a beat. What I'm getting from you is every tone in that song, there's a reason for that tone being in that song.
Yeah. And I mean, earlier it might sound what I did with my voice, it might sound funny to a lot of people, but you look at ayahuasca songs from Peruvian shamans and the sounds that come out of these people, you'd be like, whoa. And it's kind of like that. They use different musical scale and these are songs to them that the plants have taught them. That's actually one of the things that I want to share with you, is that like through the use of plant medicine, some of the stuff that they say comes straight from the plants themselves. Really interesting. There's a device that came out, you know, just a few years ago where you can put little pads on plants and you put them on the leaves, and somehow it translates the electric current that gets from the plants and puts it into music.
I saw it. They have feelings. They have their own language.
That's happening.
It's proven.
You know, my uncle, for years and years and years, he has a green thumb. We always say, and we laugh at him because he would go outside
and talk to his friends.
And he would talk to the fucking plants, and we'd be like, "What? Have you been drinking? Like, what's going on? Uncle Bob, are you okay?" He's like, "The plants respond to your voice. They respond." But he always had a green. He could take a plant that was dead and resurrect it from the dead.
Well, one is he's putting a lot of oxygen on it, or
guess,
carbon monoxide, or whatever. The opposite. But no, they did I think a study came out about. Did you read maybe 17 years ago in the American Medical Journal?
Really?
Which was surprising that they actually put it in there. That they have communication. Every plant has a way of communication, like literally communication.
Mm-hmm.
For them to put that in the American Medical Study of Journals, I was like, well, this will be here for about a month before they take it off. Because a lot of times you'll see them put things that should be in there on, and then they yank it.
I got a weird, random question. What do you think, or have you done it, or know anyone that does it? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Reiki?
Reiki?
The hell's that?
Energy medicine, they call it.
Yes. So I had it done to me last year or year before. Yeah.
In person or like long distance?
In person.
Oh.
And the person that did it, I was one that was very, I don't believe this, and she said, don't go into it like that, because you go into like that, whatever. And I went into it with a positive mind, and I did feel it was different. I get, my problem is at night when I sleep, I have what do they call it when your feet keep moving?
Restless leg syndrome?
I had that terribly.
Oh,
so
wow.
at night I sit there, it's awful. It's terrible. It's the weirdest thing. It's like a phantom feeling. And she did this Reiki, and it's been, like I said, about a year, but for months I didn't have that at all.
And what the hell's Reiki?
Reiki, I don't know the exact term of the word itself, but it's essentially energy medicine. So it's sending energy to someone for healing. So you could do it through the hands usually. Some people do it through long distance. I think intention is a big thing when you consider everything. There's a movie I love. It's called Heal. It's a documentary. It came out a few years ago. It was on Netflix for a while. Now I don't know where you could find it, but it's called Heal, and it takes into account all the things people have done to recover from terminal things, or a lot of people going through their healing journey, and it mentions all kinds of things, and you'd be surprised. There is this TED Talk by this lady named Anita Morgiani. that people should check out because it blew my mind, and it would blow Dr. Sebi's mind if he ever heard the story too, because Dr. Sebi he wasn't into any of this. Dr. Sebi had no opinion on Reiki. He didn't like to be called spiritual. He wasn't like that. Dr. Sebi was very factual when it comes to his work. He was very like, plants do this and that's it. So he didn't really believe in energy medicine or anything like that. Dr. Sebi was very about his plants. For me, I think that there's so much more complexity to healing, and this story in particular was what did it for me. I mean, my mom shared the story about this lady called Anita Morgiani who had terminal cancer. She had cancer everywhere, spreading all over her body. She went into a coma. She had fluid in her lungs, like she couldn't breathe. She went into a coma. She died, basically.
Sorry to hear that.
A medical death.
Yeah.
But she went into the other side as a spirit, and she said that while she was unconscious, while the doctors said that her body was like not responding, that outside of her body she could feel everybody. She said she could feel the doctors, what they were thinking. She could feel her brother worrying about her in Hong Kong, and she was like, in another place. Her brother was trying to go to Hong Kong from India because she was in the hospital in China and Hong Kong. So this is the way that it happened. She said that she went to the other side. Her father met her there. She said it wasn't her time. She went back into her body and she healed herself of cancer. She's alive today.
I don't know how she healed herself of cancer, but I think what she saw was from the DMT, because it's the last thing that's released when you die. So if she was dead for a period of time,
that could be.
Yeah, that's just my opinion.
But when she came back into her body, the cancer, like there's a whole medical thing with her. Like she got like 75% better within the week.
That I have no idea. I can give you
but I'm telling you,
scientific explanation.
Watch the story.
Yeah,
watch the story.
It's called Heal. Right?
She's in the documentary,
Wow.
but also she did a TED Talk separately, and this lady was, for me, a person that let me know, and it just I think reminds the world that we don't know shit.
We don't know shit. And we're a peanut. We're a stone, actually, is what we are, right?
Yeah, we know very little about healing. And so even Dr. Sebi, believe it or not, when I met him there and I was about to leave, he said to me something about wanting to know how this plant reacts in this soil. And he said to me, Tommy, there's just so much we don't know. He said that. And he's, mind you, 40 years into the healing world, expert. So if he says there's more to do, more to find out, then that's what I did. And that's why I chose to do what I did. Go to these other healers, go learn. And I created the Fasting with the Masters programs as a result of all of my years,
So now when I go to the site, I can do it online, right? I could do a class online.
Yeah, so I run long distance programs.
Okay, so if I go to your
people.
website,
you can do a free health strategy session.
Go to the
it should be
homepage.
there.
Okay, so where should we go here?
So
say I go to the site and I want to do a little something online. I'm not ready to go to the retreat yet, but I want to do something online with you.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely schedule a call there. There should be a strategy session there.
So go to strategy sessions. Okay.
Yeah, so there you could put your email and information, and then when you go down, it takes you to this video with a lot of information there, testimonials, and a calendar where you can.
Do you want to explain some of this about what people can get online if they like to?
Yeah, so in my website you'll find my products, you'll find services, my consultations. On Instagram you can also find quick links too, but here you'll find the Sacred Cleanse, which is my first detox, and when you click on the slide that's so you see the 3 herbs there should be another slide coming after that, I think.
Go down.
Yeah, so there's some of my books and different things you can get there. Just subscribe to the newsletter, everything, it's all there.
Do you have the book in audio?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That's really
so
cool.
people can listen to it as well.
And then you have your merchandise on there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All
And we have
that.
products, and we have a little bit of merch. Some T-shirts and different things, mugs for tea, obviously.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
You have to have
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Shit, you have to.
So yeah, some of these things they can get on the website. These services, like some of our products, they can book a free strategy session, which is they get to speak to me, and that's probably the quickest way. They speak to me or Tyler.
Okay, take me through that. So right here, I just went to the website. I want to speak to you or Tyler. How do I do it?
Yeah, you can either, when you go to the products, you can also book a consultation with me, so you can do that. But if you wanted a free strategy session, you would just go to the free strategy session.
Okay.
You would put your email, and then it would take you to a video and then a calendar, and people usually book a call. In the strategy sessions, that's where we can assess people. We can find out what their goals are. People have all types of goals: weight loss, weight gain, all kinds of things. And based on that, we recommend the best, steps forward, really.
Anybody ever ask you if they can be 2 inches taller? I'm shooting for 5'11". If you got something in your trick book,
Oh man,
with plans, let me know.
I actually did get some.
You'll be a
someone
billionaire
write
if you
to me.
figure that out. You figure that out, how to get people a little bit taller? Shit.
Insoles.
Wow. Yeah, you could say that while he's sitting over there 6'2", and the rest of us,
No,
you don't count. Me and Tommy need 2 inches.
It's funny. My father's 6 feet and my grandpa's 6'2", and I came out like my Ecuadorian grandpa. So I came out
my grandfather's 6'6". My dad, my height. My mother was tall for a woman, for an Italian lady. She was 5'7". That's tall for a woman back then.
Right.
My grandmother, 4'9".
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she was bitching about shrinking when she got older. Swearing.
Yeah.
She's like, but
yeah,
so I take it. That's what I got. My brother, that prick, he got 6'2". He's lying.
Yeah.
6'1".
My little brother, believe it or not, he's taller than me now. Like my little brother.
Well, at least he's your brother. He's your little brother, so you can't get mad at him.
Well, I'm taller than my older brother.
Wow, so you've got one going for you.
Yeah, but then my little brother is taller than all of us. Actually, in my family, if you ever were to see a picture of all my family, all my cousins, they're all above 6 feet.
Are they?
My brother and I are the shortest ones.
So you're the midget.
We're the midgets of the family, yeah. And it's funny because, we ate everything that everybody else ate. So it wasn't like I was a vegetarian and lost my nutrition. Like, I became, vegetarian way after
DNA
I already
code,
stopped
man.
growing. Yeah, I guess.
They can already alter it now,
Mhm.
which that's scary. That's a whole nother podcast, So now you have a retreat coming up, right? On November 4th to the 7th, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay, so I sign up for the retreat. Tell me about how everything goes with that.
Sure. So, like I said, the Fasting with the Masters goes all the way from the song, the book, all the way to the highest experience with us, which is the retreat. It's pure mastery. So you come, you detox, you cleanse, you assist the workshops, you attend the workshops, and you get exclusive knowledge on plant medicines, on the specific health journey that you're on. So whether your goals are to, heal from eczema or, just become a better person, right? Like become healthier in general. So you can go there, you can learn directly from me in person. All of these things that I can't really discuss in public arenas.
Sure.
So that has to be said because, as you know, there's a lot of censorship in a lot of these things, especially
more and more every day.
yeah,
Bro.
especially with the global situation that took place, where you can't really say natural immunity anymore and all these things.
So is that another one I'm going to see in the 'cause I could see the code. I'm sure that will be the last one that they went hard with was before the vaccine or after the vaccine, the COVID. Now anything trans, like if you say it all the way, you'll get flagged.
Sorry, anything what?
Trans,
okay,
that's like the big thing that they're censoring the hell out of now.
Right.
Yeah.
I see.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elon.
So
Thank you again, Elon. Even though you got to
Yes.
wait 6 months to take over, which is bullshit, so they can clean. Remember you were talking about clean up the dirtiness of whoever.
Yeah.
Because he's going to put that open source code.
Yeah.
They're going like this all day long. They got 5,000 people in that room going like this. Delete.
Twitter went to, like the CEO, the former CEO of Twitter went to
Dempsey.
court.
Yeah.
Not to court. He was questioned. I
Yeah,
forgot what it was.
it
There
was
was some legal overlap,
Yeah,
and
they called him in like they did Zuckerberg. Just a bunch of bullshit.
well, because for good reason. There's for a lot of us that see it, we know what it was. Like there was things that, for example, I mean, like we're in Florida, so we could talk about it. But you know, former President Trump, right? Like he would say something, and like it would be totally, you know, censored or whatever.
Suppressed.
But then someone would say, somebody, even a celebrity would say things about, you know, hurting Trump or all, like, you know, anything against Trump. It would be allowed.
Mm-hmm.
It would be censored. So if you'd say anything about hurting Trump, you know, you would be applauded, right? And then anything Trump said that wasn't, you know, what the media said it was, like, no. So there was a lot of weird things with Twitter. And obviously, for me, it was very heartbreaking that a U.S. president was censored on a social media platform.
Crazy. I don't think it was Dempsey, though. I think Dempsey had
Ooh.
good intentions. I really do originally. But I
Dorsey?
think Dorsey, I would say his name wrong. But I think the board just took over. I really don't think. And the reason why I believe that is because he and Elon are talking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're in a lot of communication. They're buying a lot of software, kind of to make it more of a competitor to like Facebook and the other ones, and even YouTube. Like they're going to have video and everything else. So the fact that him and Dorsey, right, that they keep communicating, I think that the board just pushed him out, and then the board just, let's just say what it is. The board went left all the way. Anything right suppressed, anything left, let's bump it up. And I don't think that was Dorsey. I don't think Dorsey's some perfect angel or anything, but I don't think that's what he meant Twitter to be.
Right.
But when you have a board and you see Elon, who's a little bit more up there IQ-wise, if he's even from fucking Earth, right?
Alien.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? If there's one person that might be, it's him. Do all that at once? But when they tried to give him a board seat, he was like, oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
You're not playing me with that. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
He turned that down because he knew then he can't make the biggest decision because now he's on the board.
Yeah.
So then he has to answer to the board as well.
So that's why he went buy the whole thing.
Bought the whole thing. But even after he bought the whole thing, they offered him a position on the board. And he said, no, I want to stay owner.
Right.
Because then he's got the 51 or whatever percent.
Well, what happens with Steve Jobs was the same thing. He got kicked out by his board.
Yep.
A lot of, I don't know what happens when companies go public and they do their corporate stuff. There's a lot of, because you see all these CEOs, so Steve Jobs only owned like 10% of Apple.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't really know how so what the board owns most of it anyway?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Because
curious.
Whenever you're on the board like that,
mm-hmm.
so Steve Jobs is the face of it.
Right.
He's Apple. Because remember they fired him and then he came back, because Apple went to nothing.
Yeah, it went to nothing without him.
So when you're on the board and you vote on something, there's 10 people in the room. Even if you're the owner, you don't have the 51%.
Right.
You have 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So then the other 50% can be made up of the board, and if tied at 50, it goes draw because one person has that 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So say there's 10. One person has 50%. The other 9 make up the 50%. If it's tied at 50, right, it's a draw. The favor goes to the 9 with the 50% because only that one person is voting the 50%.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important at 51. That's why Elon said, no, not going on the board. Otherwise, he would have been 50 and everything. It would have been like politics.
Yeah, subject to whatever.
If you're red, blue's going to go against it even if it's good.
Right.
If you're blue, even if it's good, red's going to go against it and it goes nowhere. And that's what would have happened with Twitter if he would have went on that board. But you're playing with Elon Musk. You're not playing with Dorsey or Zuckerberg or John Doe. You're playing with a guy who's way ahead.
I think it's great news for the platform.
Fantastic news.
I think it's great news.
And life in general, too, really.
Yeah.
And society. And he's not doing it for money. We all know that. So if I want to go to the retreat, I sign up. It's 3 days. How much vetting do you do? Yeah.
What did you say? How much?
How much vetting? Like, do you really vet a lot about who you allowed to come to the retreat?
Yeah, so we have a very unique interview process, and we have to do that because at retreats, we all pretty much hang out together. So you want people that are on the same vibe,
page.
Same page, same goals in a general direction, I feel. So yeah, we do have a very specific interview process when it comes to prospects coming to retreats. Normally we have people that reserve their spaces, but you can look at all the entire programming that we have for the retreat on the webpage. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see people in November. We have, spots, being taken up, and yeah, we have a great team. So
Rob, can you pull up Tommy's webpage and go to the retreat while I ask him what he thinks about the pyramids, because he never answered me. Thought I forgot about that, didn't you? So how do you think the pyramids came about? If you had to take one guess, how do you think?
It was definitely a higher consciousness than the human consciousness.
Hi, my name is
for me.
Lockward,
I had like the.
with the masters.
It's all right.
Yeah, you can.
Your audio popped up.
Yeah, that's all good.
We'll play it before we go.
Yeah, so what I think, there's a lot of speculations and documentaries I've seen about the pyramids. Some people say that they're actually power plants, so they supplied power to Egypt. There weren't tombs, so yeah, I think that you would have to define what they were used for to know what they are, because they were told to us as tombs where pharaohs are buried, but I think one researcher pointed out that when you go to tombs, there's usually a lot of painting, decorations on the wall, and when you go to the pyramids, it's not decorated. It's not meant for you to come and visit a tomb. So I don't know much about this. There's obviously ongoing things, but I'm fascinated by it, particularly because I love African culture. Being from Dominican Republic, I am African European. That's it. Like that's
what you are, bro.
Makeup of the makeup of the island is Africans and Europeans. So it's fascinating to me. So I studied Egypt and Ethiopia, where they also have pyramids as well.
You think aliens?
Nah.
No? You think it was built somehow? You think maybe that civilization at that time was way more advanced than we thought?
Yeah, I think possibly with higher technology. One of the things that someone mentions, man, we're getting down the rabbit hole, but basically they found no burn marks in Egyptian sites. So meaning like there was no lighting of a torch to be
able to see.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow.
So I mean, like, how were they? These guys had. There's actually a hieroglyph of an Egyptian holding a huge light bulb. I've seen that hieroglyph.
I saw that too.
I don't know if you want to pull it up, but you can. But basically, it lets me know that there's more.
How would I saw it too. How would you search for that?
Just put like Egyptian light bulb hieroglyph. I think you should be able to pop it up.
It's crazy.
I've seen really cool stuff with.
See, I'm with you. I think it's either aliens, and when you say aliens, it sounds like so crazy. Other life or more advanced life, or they were way more advanced than we know.
Look.
Yeah, I know. That's just so crazy when you look at this stuff.
See, it's definitely light bulb.
Yep, that's a fucking light bulb. Click on that one there.
Yeah.
Yep. The Dendera light. Tommy, you're on point. That's a different one, but I saw one similar like that. And then they got. See, that's got to be a snake.
That looks like a coil inside of a glass bulb. Really.
It looks like a snake, though, right?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. Well, that's how like the light bulbs of ancient times, where they had this coil thing in the middle.
You know, if we could take that picture, Tommy, and break down what that really meant, shit, we'd understand things a lot more than we do now.
And my kid would say he's got a big pecker, but
he was definitely gifted. Maybe that's why I was holding his light there. Maybe it is. Maybe it came from his right side leg. Hey. Good for him. You gotta live in that shitty time period. Hey,
turn the power on. Woo.
I feel bad for his queen or girl.
Oh man,
or
Turn the
his
power on.
mate.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, his mates were running to what's the closest thing to Egypt? No, the desert. They ran to the desert when it was mating season when he was around. They were like, "Fuck it, I'll burn up." There's a little bit of water here from the cactus once in a while.
That's hilarious. Well, you don't really know what it is.
Isn't that amazing?
We
Like
just
when you look at
speculate what that is.
what do you think the girl's doing there? Like in your mind, Tommy, having met these extremely smart people that look at the world in a different way. When you look at, I assume that's a girl, with a ball on her head under his wiener or light, like what do you think the meaning is of the girl? With
She's trying to keep it together. That's all she's trying to do.
she's trying to balance. She's trying to balance his wiener with the ball.
Trying to let it do its thing.
And I guess she couldn't do enough, so they had to get the other guy from outside to come back in.
See if that's
And
No, but there's
tell
man, so many documentaries that speak about like these hieroglyphs, airplanes. They found like this little golden airplane in the Colombian rainforest. It's like, how is this possible? Like, I think if I'm being honest, the history, like I said with the movie Mystery of the Sphinx, the history of mankind is more
that is
than what
one
we
hell
think.
of a movie.
The history of mankind is not what we think, in my opinion.
Hell no.
So
agree with you
that's what I
100%.
that's what I feel. I don't know. I know as much as everybody, right? Like that knows
You have
these secrets, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
you have guesses, and you try to put the facts that we have together,
yeah,
and
but ultimately,
nobody really knows.
no. And that's actually a powerful thing. When COVID hit, it really lets you know that we can only do what we have control over. That's the only thing that we can do. Tyler and I were talking about it so many times, like, oh man, what happens if they decide for the passports and the this and that? What happens if they don't let us travel? Like, all we could do is keep doing what we're doing, and that's how we've lived our days. So we just like, all we can do is continue to offer our services to people, whatever, and that's what we've been doing. I don't have a lot of opinions in politics. I don't have a lot of opinions in a lot of things because I've decided to
Good, stay out of it.
yeah, just to try to, everything's trying to grab your energy nowadays. Like you look at, I mean, just spend a couple minutes in social media and everything's trying to grab your attention. And I feel like focusing on what you can do is the most powerful thing that you can do.
Well, you know, I
Really.
always say this, and it still relates to what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, while we're worried about green and other people's war and all this bullshit, these other countries are just getting smarter and smarter by the second, while we just get dumber and dumber and dumber. Think about these other countries
Yeah.
that you've been to, that they thought that we were some powerhouse. Now we're worried about green energy and inflating to the moon, and houses are double the cost. And what a kid wears to school, and if you have 2 bathrooms or 3 bathrooms. These powerful countries are looking at us like, what the hell are these idiots doing? Thank you. Now we're going to just, while you're worried about, you know, fossil fuels, we're just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what's happening. You know it and I know it.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing.
Yeah, I think the other day I was looking at a video and I was laughing with Tyler and we were just looking at these
The girl that farted in a cup.
No.
I was just messing with
that is pretty funny.
She
But
made
no,
$1 million off of it.
we're looking at these Russian people training in the woods with bears.
Yeah.
Like there's this guy getting punched, like you know, he's training and he's getting punched, and there's like a bear like hanging out in the background, and you know, like a lot of these people out in the world, other countries, some of these countries are not messing around. Russia is not one of them. And I mean, while you have all these some Russian men like going out there training with bears and stuff, you have, you know, people here debating about how many bathrooms we should be having, right? And so
While they're training with bears. And if you think that
masculinity is masculinity, I think here is being greatly undermined,
destroyed, you mean?
destroyed.
Yeah.
Masculinity is getting
Destroyed.
So my father, to me, he's like a patriarch. So, you know, he's a retired general of the Dominican Republic.
Imagine what he's
He
thinking.
he play, you know, he has his group of friends. He bikes. He builds stuff. that's my father, and that's like my figure of comparison. And so I've always looked at him as an alpha figure, right? So I think having that reference in my life has helped me from making shitty decisions.
Well, because you had an alpha male. That's
right.
why.
Exactly. Like I had my father, even though my parents are divorced, he's still my father, and he's still very much present in my life. So I think that now being partially raised by my mom, seeing how my mom tried to take on these roles of like, no, I'm the man and the woman. And I think that for me, that was my relationship with my mom started getting deteriorated because of that. Whereas where my mom was just my feminine mother and my father was my masculine father, that dynamic worked better for my mom and the way that I saw my mom. And I think that a lot of women here in the U.S. that are single with a child, they often want to get praised for Father's Day and said, oh, I'm the father and the mother. And like, that's actually really hurtful. And I think that lack of masculinity is in a way what's bringing a lot of us down, because that's what's raising the next generation. So I think that for me, seeing, families from the Dominican Republic coming over here and traveling other places and living in Ecuador for a while have made me see different cultures and different ways of family dynamics. But I feel that, when it comes to health and well-being, masculinity is very important. And, here in the U.S., a lot of people, when they view it from the feminist standpoint, they look at it as toxic masculine. But in reality, feminism is a tricky thing because there's different waves of it. It's not just one thing, and it's caused a lot of issues in my opinion. This is in my opinion. It's caused a lot of issues.
I agree with your opinion 100%.
Just because of the way that it's changed our women, and I think that
and men, men more so.
Yeah, of course, because see now there's a whole thing with it, because men don't know how to act, and then women don't really know that they need men to act a certain way for them to, because women don't want just another girlfriend, like that's
I know what you're saying.
They want a man, like what makes men attractive to the opposite sex. Like for me, I can only speak for myself, but I know that there's things that make the opposite sex attractive to me, like women, the being girly, like doing the girly things and all that. I find that attractive, but I'm not attracted to a woman that is overly masculine.
Like building a house, like shit like that, right?
Well, there's like, I don't know about, because you could have a good time. I think it's more like the attitude.
Good time building a house. I'm not gonna have a good time. And then she goes and tells everybody that she built the house, and I look like the biggest, schmuck that ever lived. Wait, your girl built the house?
There's couples that do things together and stuff, but
not build a house.
But yeah, like I agree with you. There's just like an overstimulation of masculine women, I think.
Well, like my grandfather, right from Italy, and I was told from a young age, and I believe Rob was too. They back then they were nuts. You're here to reproduce, protect, provide. That's all I heard. Reproduce, protect, provide. Period.
As a man?
Yeah. Reproduce, protect, provide. That you do those three things, Tommy, I'll be happy. That's all I fucking heard. But, people from other countries are different, because over there and, in the Dominican, that's what the men do. They work 3 jobs, reproduce, bang, have kids, protect, make sure nobody, hurts the kids or your wife.
And the wife is feminine.
And provide. You work to have the money to take care of, and the woman takes care. I mean, this is, that's hell, but they were, women had a different position.
That's how it is in like almost any species, I believe. I mean, it's I don't know about fish or anything like that, but
some of the smartest. They found that a crow was the smartest.
And I think to Tommy's point, you need a male figure, a father figure, and a female figure, a mother figure in a person's life, and things happen, like people pass away. We get that. That's where an uncle steps in, a grandfather steps in, a football coach,
right,
a teacher. but they fill a role that, unfortunately things happen in life that can fill that father figure or fill that mother figure, because you need a mother too. I need a motherly figure.
Right.
Yeah.
But if
both.
you don't have the father figure, my opinion always is, you unfortunately see kids, and it's not their fault either. They don't have that father figure. It's really not their fault. Dad's either left at a young age, abandoned them, they passed away. That happens too, and they don't have the guy. The mom can try all she wants. It just doesn't have the same effect as the dad putting you in line, and that's unfortunately why I think you see a lot of issues with children when they don't have that father figure. But that's my talk.
Yeah.
I think it all impacts the way that that we see the world today. I think, everything that's taking place, and just to kind of reiterate how we even got here, it's like I saw these Russian guys like training with bears, and you're like, what the hell? This is like some things that we're not used to, where like a lot of women now would call toxic masculinity or whatever. And I think, this is a topic that for me, as I've opened myself into the wellness space, I've seen so many different things where, realizing that the beings that change the most are women. Like nowadays, look at Instagram. How many girls you think are marriage potential when you're looking at girls that are like showing themselves almost naked all the time? Girls nowadays, they have DMs from all these different people, like, yeah, like
right now it's true.
Yeah, right now, like all these rappers, they could DM any girl and that's it. Like before, when my grandparents were getting married, like, everything was what everybody talked about in the neighborhood, and you found that someone was a good man and you married that person and that's it. But now, like, I can speak to a girl in India. I can speak to a girl in India. I can speak to a girl in Australia. Like
anywhere you want.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Like the times have changed, and I think that in a
them,
lot of ways, you
don't even know them. You marry them, and they take you all your money.
See that's another
That's what the fuck happens.
For men, I found that, and maybe we'll do another episode another time, but I would love to do a men's wellness, topic focus, because there's so much things that men don't know that don't apply to women that apply to us as men, right? One of the things that I'll mention is that in a lot of cases of sexual transmitted things, women are carriers. A lot of women don't even feel symptoms. Men,
you hear that?
A lot of women don't feel symptoms, and men do.
Yeah.
So, women, they can have something, they can pass it to a guy, but the guy will feel the symptoms and the woman doesn't. So, like, women and men are different. We're different biologically. We're different in the way that we think. We're different in a lot of ways. And I think that feminism is wrong and for saying that women can do what men can do. And that's not true. Men cannot do what women can do. And women cannot do what men can do.
Period.
That's it. We're both different, unique, amazing beings. And when we come together, we create life. So I think that, Dr. Sebi was a lover of women. And, he mentioned how much the energy of women is important in the healing process. And I do think that women are just more nurturing, and more kind in a way that men can be when it comes to nursing someone or like taking care of somebody.
They have that motherly instinct, which then does what? It's going to put off pheromones. Right. And we all know that pheromones are real, right? Yeah. So if good pheromones are coming off, that motherly pheromones, you can't replace that.
Right.
You can't. You were in her belly for 9 months, 8 months, however many, you know what I mean? And even if it's a stepmom, you still feel that it's your mom. You know what I mean? Like say your mom passed or whatever it may be. You still look for your mom, and you get that pheromone feeling from a mom that you'll never get from any man, but then you get that pheromone feeling from a man that you would never get from a woman, right?
Exactly.
So what do you want people to know that watch this about you, your brand, what you have to offer, and what's coming in the future?
Right. Well,
and all of this will be in the description, all the links and everything else. So, everybody can get vetted to possibly go on the retreat or go online and do a couple things one-on-one with Tyler. Everybody knows Tyler. And Tommy. So
yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a wonderful time to chat, to get to know you, and to share my experience in this podcast. What I want people to know is that I created Sunray Wellness to honor my teachers, my mentors. My program, Fasting with the Masters, honors the teachings that have laid the foundation to the health and lifestyle that I live today. The fact that I enjoy good health and, savor it every day is due to the fact that I worked hard with my teachers to make it so. And even still, there's always new things, new heights, new progressions, new things to implement and to share with others. For me, I'm really excited to be doing this work, to be helping people at a mineral level. And it's exciting to help all kinds of people, no matter if they're plant-based or not. And it's been exciting to see these results. I want people to know that my books, Fasting with the Masters, the set of books, all 3 of them, are available in the description so people can check it out. I'm available to have a strategy session with people that are interested. And if they want to meet me in person or work long distance in a program, no matter where you are in the world, you can do that. And everything will be available right here. Excuse me.
That's okay.
So I have my song Fasting with the Masters came out, and it's on iTunes, Spotify, and you can also watch the music video on the description. That's on my YouTube page. So I want people to connect with the culture, with the song. It doesn't matter if you never get a product from me or never talk to my team or do a program. You can listen to the music, you can catch a vibe, you can tune into the story, and it's there for people to see that there's a way to balance the body in a natural way.
There's options.
There's options. Yeah. And yeah, just to share that I've had a great conversation today. And, I hope that everybody that watched it and hopped on really found some truths about natural healing, Dr. Sebi, all of this mystery we talked about, the pyramids.
And we just touched the top, just the basis. Pull up Tommy's podcast. We forgot to hit that. You got your podcast.
Yeah,
that's an easy way for people to get into it.
Right. I do have some episodes there, so I put Dr. Sebi in there as well. So our interview is there in English
on Spotify. Which one's Dr. Sebi? Because that's what everybody.
It should be. It's there on the title.
Okay.
You should find it. It's one among the first.
So if you're listening to this and not watching it, you want to go to. He's on everything, but Spotify, Wellness Revolution. And if you want to listen to Tommy with Dr. Sabi, it's Arrangement of Life. Yes, I know I messed it up.
No, it's all
with special guest, Dr. Sabi. Right? Yeah. You had a quick...
Yeah, that's it. So that in that episode, I basically do a little intro, but I take the original clip of us talking the first time that we met. So it's really exciting.
Fantastic. You have that on Spotify, Apple.
Yeah.
You have it on all of them, right?
All the platforms that do podcasting, it should be up. And we're doing a lot of different things, looking to get more active on YouTube. I have YouTube videos about how to detox the body and, different types of things. I'm mainly active on Instagram for these little updates. I do post a lot of different things.
Yeah, Rob, pull up Tommy's Instagram so we can make sure that gets out there too, because that's where you say you're most active, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll pull that up. I looked at it. It's good. What do you think Spotify is going to do? They just purchased how much did he say? They purchased $40 million worth of software. They bought Microphone. I don't know if you know what that is, but Microphone is they like franchise it out. First off, it's expensive. It's of that 40 million, it was probably 30. And what Microphone is, it's basically the software that YouTube uses to be YouTube. The comments, the likes, the views, the downloads, the watch time, all that stuff. That all is from Microphone. The software Microphone, and Spotify bought it. So you can bet your ass that they're going to implement I think in 1 year, you're going to see Spotify
Doing videos,
with everybody. I think
like podcast videos.
Yeah, I think it will be like a YouTube. I think it will be YouTube, but better. And I think Twitter, with Elon stepping in maybe a year and a half because he can't do much for 6, I think Twitter will be number 1. Killing Facebook, Instagram, it will be Twitter, and it will be Spotify. Twitter will be a little bit of a delay because that initial, when he uncensors things, and he's going to, we know that.
Right,
he's going to.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a transformation, because at first people are going to, you're going to get your assholes and everything else until you have a way to vet them out. And what I've been reading and some of the software that he's purchased. So if you're a bot, you buy a bot just to be a jerk off, right?
Right.
So, like the blue check thing is the big thing. Well, he's going to make it where if you're real, you have a blue check. Okay. So then you give like your social, your date of birth, whatever it may be to validate that you're real. You don't need to be famous or whatever. Blue check means you're real. Non-blue check, that means you're a bot, you're a troll, whatever it may be. And that way he doesn't need to censor. He doesn't need to waste his time in censoring that part of it, because if you're real, you'll fill because everybody wants the blue check, right? Just because he makes it where you just fill it out doesn't mean people aren't going to want it. If you're real, you have a blue check. And if you're not, because a robot at this point,
it's not.
And you can put in the algorithm in the code where they can catch it. So if you make the robot go to do it, it's not that it can't do it, or the bot. The bot can fill out forms, but the algorithm will catch it. And the only way it can catch it is by the form. And then if you're real, you have a blue check. So everybody's like, well, how are you going to censor this, that? Well, there's your answer.
Got it.
And I think with that, once that transition's over, and it's tough because, you're going to have people say stupid stuff, and it will turn political because you have the political people coming up with the blue check saying crazy things to say, see, I told you Elon shouldn't have done this. You know what I mean? But once that levels out, Twitter and Spotify are going to be the 2 spots. And then you got the metaverse coming.
Well,
and then the whole game fucking changes.
I'm excited, honestly. I don't think it's going to be for the worse. I think we're taking a turn for the good.
I think that part's for the good until the AI and the nukes. Then we just end ourselves. What Tig say, 2 years? So if somebody knows, he would know. So here's your Instagram, Tommy Lockward.
Yeah.
Alkaline, detox fasting. And I think, Tommy, before we end this real quick, the biggest thing, in my opinion, is not just about fasting. Because I think that's the thing with this. It's not just fasting. Because when people see fasting, it's like, oh, fasting, I'm not going to starve myself. Fuck this, right?
Right.
Fasting's just a small part of what you do.
You could say it's detoxing.
Yeah.
And then there's different ways to go about it. But it's the same thing.
I was trying to help you out so that when somebody sees fasting, they're not just thinking, I have to starve myself.
No, I know. It's a real thing.
It is. Scroll down, Rob. And if there's anything you want him to stop on, we'll just freeze through it. That is cool how you have all the scales and everything.
Oh, yeah. I definitely post a few things here and there. If you want to click that little one in the middle, the one up top from there. That one, it shows you the little bit of the clip.
Like this play, Rob? It's like Bob Marley, kind of, right? Kind of a beat.
Yeah, it's reggae.
And that's on iTunes, Spotify, and more. So you can download it.
Yeah,
that's a real relaxed song. You know what that reminds me of? You could take look, Rob. You want a blunt? You want a blunt? Joint? Bowl? What would you like? That reminds me of roll one up and light it.
Yeah. I mean,
we're in Florida. We could say that.
A lot of people, they associate reggae music to that. I think it has a great message for relaxing, chilling. So the whole video tells you the visual story of how I came to be, right? So it tells you how I met my teacher, like what it looked like, what he gave me, and then it's a really fascinating music video. my buddy worked really hard to make it happen.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Definitely check out his Instagram. You'll see it. It's cool. if you just go on his Instagram, read it, and have a good time, right?
Yeah, that's
What's your
about.
opinion on marijuana, real quick?
I think cannabis is a beautiful medicine, And in my interview with Dr. Sebi, he talks about how in Ecuador they have a book called Hierbas Medicinales of Ecuador, which means herbal medicines of Ecuador. They mention cannabis as a treatment for more than 40 illnesses.
Really?
Yeah. So
I believe it. I do. Cash App. Go to cash.app. Cash App, the easiest way to send money, spend money, save money, and buy cryptocurrency. Cash App believes in providing everyone with access to important financial services so they can fully participate in the economy. Sign up today for Cash App. Use the code MSCS. Additionally, once signed up, create an invite code. When a friend uses the invite code and sends $5 or more from a newly created Cash App account, another bonus will arrive within 14 days. That's cash.app or download the app and sign up. Cash App.
you can juice cannabis leaves. You can make the flower into a tea. You can make oil out of the flower. It doesn't have to be smoking cannabis or any of that people know. Smoking blunts.
There's a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's powerful. You can use the oils for things. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, there's you see the word marijuana does not exist in the old way of speaking. So the word cannabis is the original word. So in the Bible, in the Old Testament, you would find certain instances where God tells Moses to put together holy oils. And he says, add this, add that. And there's one word in there that a lot of people have, a lot of researchers have talked about. And I've seen, different talks on this, where the word calamus is there. And they say that that's actually a version of cannabis. And also they have in the Bible something that says sweet cane. Add the sweet cane or kana, which essentially the original word in the Old Testament is cannabosum. So Hebrew scholars talk about how there's cannabis in the Old Testament. And
was the sugar thing Coke?
Was that?
Was the sugar stick or whatever that they were talking about in there cocaine?
No,
I was going to say, what?
No,
Smoking weed?
Sweet cane, sweet cane, like cannabis.
Tommy, I was thinking weed, Coke, DMT already naturally occurring at the time, and fucking mushrooms. Jeez, these guys must have had a hell of a time.
Yeah. Well,
doesn't sound so bad back then anymore.
I don't know where it was, what city, but they found like some pottery where they had like a mixture of mushrooms in there. We've been dabbling with psychedelics.
Oh yeah, it was everywhere in Jerusalem. Strong, and DMT was naturally occurring in your brain at that time.
I mean, It is. We dream. When we dream, that's DMT. When we die, like you talked about
when you
earlier.
dream, it's REM. DMT's there, but it's not active anymore.
Mm.
It used to be active, like back in the day. When you dream now, when you actually have like a real dream, it's REM. That's REM sleep, and that's what puts you into the dream. The DMT's there, but we don't need it anymore because we're not going up against tigers and lions and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was naturally occurring rapidly because you would have to have the balls to go up and kill a tiger. So a tiger you would go up to kill, it would know you're afraid of it. It's going to eat you. Mm-hmm. But a tiger can feel, it can sense that you have no fear. Mm-hmm. So it's going to think twice about attacking you if it doesn't know that if you're bigger than it or it's bigger than you, it senses that there's no fear in you. Mm-hmm. So then it will walk away and caveman or man can kill the thing with the DMT shooting out and probably about, I don't know, pocket full of mushrooms on his way to go kill the thing. It sounds funny, but it's true. If you research it, really, it's true. Honest to God, I wouldn't bullshit you.
Yeah, no, I think
I wish DMT was still currently active so I could know what the hell it's like.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I never read that it's not currently active anymore. From what I understand, Tyler has a book on it called DMT Spirit Molecule. They do say that when we're born, we excrete DMT, but when we die also, like as we're dying, we're tripping on DMT. So they say.
Remember, I have an open mind. So if you can find me something that like a real like study that shows that it's still active now, I would love to read it.
Yeah,
I have an open mind with everything.
I think there's so many plants that have DMT and that you can use.
Right, but I'm talking DMT in the brain, plant. Just you're sitting here right now and it's naturally occurring. I'm not saying like you take something to make it occur. I'm just saying like we're sitting here and it's not naturally occurring like it was then. That's all.
I don't know.
I wouldn't know. Check it out.
I wouldn't
throw
know.
Back at what we can find.
No, I'm curious about this. Is actually very interesting to me because there's a lot of people that speak about ancient Earth being quite different in atmosphere and conditions, and when there's people that speak about their DMT experience, they always mention how tapped in they are with the animals and this and this. So it almost makes it seem like
what I'm saying makes sense.
No, I think it does make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that when you take these substances, they take you to an ancient thing. I don't know how to explain it, but when I took ayahuasca for the first time, I felt that I had done it before. It felt familiar to me. Familiar is a good word. But I think that the DMT molecule, they call it the spirit molecule, I think it's very important to human development.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I think it's the only way we evolved so quick. Or an alien came down and got bored and said, look, you guys need to speed it up. One of the two.
the thing about it is, it's not even far from the truth. Because, look, mushrooms and cannabis and all these different substances, they're different than ayahuasca. So ayahuasca is one of the only plant medicines that you need to mix two things to make it happen. So like, how do these indigenous people know out of all the plants in the Amazon, you take that one and you take this one and you boil it for 8 hours and then you get the ayahuasca drink? I mean, that some people say, the more you get into this, the indigenous people would say themselves that they got their knowledge from the stars. And you would, I'm not even joking, this is actually a common thing. The more you go back in civilization, like almost all civilizations, they say that they got their knowledge from other beings.
All of them. They all do.
All of them.
They either mention in a different way, usually a star, like you said, or they'll come up with a name that isn't known. And the only way you can take an educated guess as to what they're referring to would be other life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you see it in the ancient texts that I had to study for school. I mean, that's literally what they talk about. As far as back you go, eventually they say, yeah, like we got these brothers and sisters from the stars. They showed us how to do this.
Unbelievable.
It really is. And that's one of the mysteries behind ayahuasca that I find so fascinating, because all the other substances like peyote, San Pedro, cannabis, mushrooms, they're inherently valuable. So you take San Pedro as is and you use it. But ayahuasca goes through this very interesting process, and you have to have higher knowledge of botany to really make this happen. And a lot of people don't know this. I'm fascinated with ancient cultures. That's why I can hold my own with this. And one of the things that really blew my mind, and I'll say this to the audience so that way you know, and this has to do with healing, by the way. I don't think it's unrelated, because the more you realize that there's things that we haven't been taught, the more you can open your mind in this day and age right now, the more you can open yourself to the possibilities. Because in the 70s, there's anthropologists that went to study this tribe in Africa called the Dogon, and they had a very intricate map of the stars that only later with the telescope you could see.
And it was right.
How
fucked up is that? It was right. 100% on point.
And you can't...
Yes or no? It was 100% on point.
You can't see it with your naked eye, but these people in Africa, these tribesmen knew that Sirius had a binary star. And we only figured it out when we got telescopes. And these people knew it, like, even before we even had telescopes. And so that's
I could not believe when I saw that. I literally will, like you have to look at it twice and then Google it 17 times to make sure that it's right.
yeah. I mean, we don't really know a lot of things, including about the human history and the body. And I think that right now is an interesting time, and that's why wellness is taken off the way it is, because we're realizing that, man, things are not the way we think that they are. The body does heal with frequency. The body does heal with good water. The body does heal with rest and love. And, if plants respond to our words, think about how we respond to our own words, our own beliefs about ourselves and about who we are, And I think that if you know this, right? Like, the difference between people that are successful. They come here, people that are successful, they just believe that they are. They have a certain thing about them. And I think that that's what we need to bring into healing, because the body can heal. And, we have sometimes mental blocks that mislead us. And that's why mentors for me were a big part of my teaching and a part of my lesson, because when I met Dr. Sebi and other healers, their presence, because their presence was already polarized into being, great healers, you can be around them and you already start to feel that you're healing.
And remember, he's already polarized in your mind before you even meet him.
Exactly.
So mentally, he's already this big, huge thing to you.
That's why Dr. Sebi, when people went to see him, a lot of them recovered, because when you were in his presence, it'd be like, cancer? No worries. I got you. You're going to recover. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
and then the difference with him was they believed him. It's just like if somebody's an addict, right? And Joe Blow, who's the counselor, he says, Tommy, no more drugs.
Right.
Don't do them. They're bad for you. You're going to say, fuck you, and run as fast as you can. But if your favorite actor or Dr. Sebi comes, who's, you look up to, or whoever you look up to,
more
says,
inclined to listen.
Tommy, now, how about you stop the drink and you stop the mushrooms for a while? You're going to listen to Sebi because you look up to him, right? He's kind of like a role model.
Right.
Same thing with this.
So that's actually what the movie, the Heal documentary, points out. A lot of the way that happens is that when a client feels, or someone going through an illness feels that they're being cared for by someone who's watching over them, they heal faster. So when Dr. Sebi started to work with people, and even when I do, it's tough. I mean, look at the overload of information. You can go in there right now to WebMD and feel like you're dying with the symptoms that you can get.
Anything. Yeah.
So the people are getting overwhelmed. And so when they come to me, they say, I trust you. I trust you. You're going to give me everything that I need, and that's it. And so just by doing that alone, that surrender, people have less stress and people trust and they go forward. And that's how my best clients get the results. And I find that it's a combination of things. Like I said, in the human body, it's more than just the formula. Because I feel like a lot of people are wondering like about that. Like, no, I want to know Dr. Sebi's formulas. It's like, it's not about that. It's about the heart of a healer. Like, the reason why Dr. Sebi was able to do so much is because he had the heart of a healer. So he went through the whole healing process himself. And that's what led him to the conclusions that he got. Now, people that are trying to recreate that for the sake of fame or for the sake of...
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. So, like, the heart, I think it's an important thing. Intention is important. And I'm looking forward to the wellness space. I mean, like, we want to expand as a company. We want to grow into the tech world as well, because we want to be able to create an application that interacts with your body, that can tell you minerals and stuff like that. I think wellness and tech is a great thing. And as a company, I want to expand, in that way. I want to find out more about the compounds, eventually have a laboratory and stuff like that. And there's a lot more to do, a lot more to discover, right? So right now we're a small team and we're working very hard but diligently and making a difference. So we're just grateful for that.
As long as you don't give up, you'll make it. It might take time, but as long as you keep grinding, you'll make it. You'll make it. It's your passion. As long as you don't care about how long it takes, you're doing it because you want to, you'll make it. And you got to come back, and we got to go through plants. because
yeah.
like specific plants. But man, anything else? Thank you
I'm
for your
open.
time, and I appreciate it. Very, very interesting. Anything, Rob?
It's good stuff, man.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Anything you want to leave on, Tommy?
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to say, again, I'm really grateful and honored to everybody that's going to take the time to listen to this and share. I'm really honored to have met my teachers and to be sharing the message that I am today. You can, talk to me in any way that you find. When you look up social media, you can reach out to me. And yeah, I look forward to helping out and looking forward to you guys downloading the music, looking at the music video, because even if you don't do anything, like I said, it's still medicine. Music is medicine. So I'm going to keep releasing more music. Like I have a shamanic album that I want to work on soon. So specifically traditional ceremonial songs, more like acoustic and stuff like that. And meditations for healing. So I know that you interviewed Tyler here. He did yoga nidra, so we incorporated a lot of that yoga nidra into our clients. So basically, we give them sessions for meditation and stuff like that. So we want to do a lot more of these things to give people tools, because that's all anybody can ask for, tools in the toolbox. So 5 years down the line and you're in trouble, you have the podcasts that speak about how to clean your body and how to do all these things. So it's to give tools for people, and there's all sorts of tools coming out. So I'm excited.
You're doing a great thing. I'll tell you what, it's a good time to be doing it too. This is you're kind of in that pocket right now. This is a good pocket to be in at this time with everything going on and how bad things are in reality. It's a good thing, Tommy. You're doing a good thing. I hope you keep at it, and everything will be in the description. Anytime you add something, you can always text me. I can add it in, because at the end you could put next video. So even a month from now, if you add something, tell me, I'll throw it in, because you never know when it will pop up.
Sure.
So
Well,
thank you for your time. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.